Like it's dry.
Yeah, you got a big day tomorrow. You got the draft. Basketball
Oh,
draft
the
is
NBA
tomorrow. So
basketball is
yeah, so
tomorrow.
that'll
NBA.
be yeah, so that'll be big deal. And then just kind of, you know, I like soccer and but ain't nobody to talk to about with it. So but baseball is cool, but I watch it from afar. So I don't know.
Yeah. So
We'll
are
see.
you gonna start back with your Saturdays now?
I'm probably gonna do one this Saturday. Can I do it every Saturday? Nah, I just can't move. If I move, the space goes out. So that's you got to be. I got if I'm willing to just sit there, then I definitely will do it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's different in the winter because nobody wants to go out in the winter.
Right, and on a Saturday morning, like I'm wanting to. Even
Go
I ain't got.
outside.
Even if I ain't got nothing to do, I want to make something to do. After
Right.
after about 30 minutes, I'm like, man, I'm finna shut this down. Yeah,
I
so
know. I
that's
mean,
gonna be
yeah,
fun.
that is true. Unless you just have it for no more than an hour, but I don't think it never goes that way.
Man, everything get crazy. I see where Jasmine Crockett lost something today or dropped out of a race or something.
What? No, wait. I saw her wanting to subpoena Elon Musk, but
Oh, hold on, I just put in your jumbotron. What's up, bro? I'm good, man. You?
I don't see it in the job. I don't see nothing up there.
Okay, I just put it up there. You'll see it's gonna pop up. It says she stepped back. It just came out 35 minutes ago, so this is new. She
Oh,
stepped back from the race to lead House Oversight Democrats after finishing last in a preliminary vote, which is
a
crazy.
preliminary vote where in her district or in the
I
in
don't
the in the
know.
Congress to be head of the
Well,
Democrat DNC. A
well,
representative stepped back from race
that's
to lead House Oversight Democrats after finishing last. Known for her bold words, Crockett says that she's going to be
that's
a
what
bit
got me.
more
She finna pipe down. That's what she's basically saying, right?
because people. It is not so much white people, black people tired of her. Like,
Yeah, it's just too much. It's too
right,
like
too much of your
you're doing
bullshit
too
because
much of that ratchet. Like, come on, man, just back up a little bit now. You
yeah,
ain't
and
hard like that.
it's ratchet for illegals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like
LGBTQ.
if you gonna do it, like let it be for just straight for the people. Don't be all mixed up with it. Like, I
Right.
mean, like crazy. Like you on some BIPOC rack. Like, come on, man.
Exactly. So ain't nobody trying to hear that. And honey, I just caught wind of this now because I've been busy today. Why they trying to come for my Beyonce? Don't play with me. She gonna rock that Buffalo Soldier shirt whenever and however she want to, honey. Yes, I support her and I support the Buffalo Soldiers. I don't give a damn if you trying to say, oh, the Buffalo Soldiers killed the indigenous. So what? The quote unquote indigenous enslaved black Africans. Well, we black Africans back then, but still, So she get backlash because she had a Buffalo Soldiers paying homage to the Buffalo Soldiers, talking about something. They killed off the Mexicans and helped kill off the Mexicans and the indigenous. So what? I just had to get that
Yeah.
out, honey. Leave Beyonce alone. Leave her alone, honey. I went to see her in concert. And
It
I'm
was
thinking about
good.
getting tickets to see her 4th of July in DC.
Wow.
So yeah. Um I'm
How
wait
much
first of all
of
I'm waiting for the judge to come up because it's Tuesday, it's usually his space, but it takes him forever. I don't see Peter. I don't know. He on that Sicilian time.
yeah? How much are concert tickets run? Like 1,000 a piece
Well,
or something?
you could get them cheaper if you buy it the day of if it's not sold out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you can get it for 200, 300, 500, 600, and it's sometimes under 100, but you're sitting all the way at the top. But here's the thing, because I know the last show in New York, that's when I went to, it was completely sold out. And Paris been sold out. London been sold out. So and I don't think they let Americans buy resale, but I don't even think any resale was available. So I think her coming back to the States, because their next stop I think is going to be Houston, then DC, but definitely Houston. I think that's completely like sold out. So I think if people listen, if you could find something, if people reselling, grab it, because the day of, nothing is going to be available, and she puts on a hell of a show. Whether you like her or not, you will be highly entertained.
Okay. Sound good. Sound good. I think the last concert I went to was Mary J's concert,
Oh, how was that?
and it was good. Mary, pretty tough.
Which she came to Memphis?
She came to Memphis. I went to one in Nashville. I think she was in
Oh.
Memphis too. I think she toured Memphis too. Her and Neo.
Oh, okay.
Neo pretty tough. Neo got some
He
hits.
puts
I
on a
didn't
good
realize.
performance.
Yeah, he can dance. Man,
Yeah.
that dude can dance, like dance, like
So
almost.
he's an overall good entertainer.
Yeah, Michael Jackson level dancer. He can dance for real.
Chris
Yeah,
Brown, he's on tour, and I think his tour is selling out. I heard he's really good too. Performing.
yeah, yeah. His tour like selling out arenas. Like he doing some big
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Hey Negro, Nancy, George, Empress. And thank you, Shut Up, for coming up, getting the conversation going, honey. Cause what I put in the title, Trump says "F you" to Israel and Iran, honey. Yes, he did.
See you
you
driving around
you
town with the girl I love, and I'm like,
you
fuck
you should
you.
you should put a middle finger in the middle of the F into you.
I know, right? Should I? We could do
Yeah,
that on X.
yeah. Put the middle finger in there.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me do that now, honey.
I do want to comment on that Beyonce and that Buffalo Soldier. You know, the Negro and the history. I definitely want to chime in on that part.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So,
We
so,
have
so my,
time.
my take, yeah, my take of it on is this: where those indigenous Negroes, quote unquote, they say they are, the paperwork people at, saying that they were recategorized. How do they feel about that? That's what I want to know. Like to secure the tribe individuals and all those people said that they were reclassified and where's the boat at? Those type of black folks, quote unquote. Yeah, where are they at on this Buffalo Soldier thing? I'm definitely very intrigued about that because they've been all up on this app talking crazy about Negro, talking crazy about Black American, and running around. And then you got the Freedmans who say that they're Negro, but they know that that's dealing with indigenous and mixed up people. So these are mixed up people. They can't pick a side. So either or, it just sounds. I'm very interested to know what that sector of the lineage-based collective community is thinking about that, since they're always on this app talking crazy about just a regular old black person or Negro person and whatnot. They always disrespected and had something crazy to say, saying like where the slave ships and all that goofy stuff.
Yeah, but d- that's what I'm saying. Have they said anything about Beyonce, or they know not to
I
even
don't
talk
I don't
about
know.
her?
No, no, I ain't. I haven't seen anything, Dana. But I've been out doing some other stuff lately, so I haven't checked the feed yet. So, but I am very curious to know what their thoughts are. I think that they should run a space about that. Since they run a space about everything else. So the other thing is about it is, should I really care about what a slave master and how these slave masters may feel? I don't care what color they come in. All right. You got pale skinned slave masters. You had red skinned slave masters. You even have what they call that other skin so olive skinned slave masters. So should I really care about their feelings about how they feel about my history or Beyonce flexing her history? I think she did a power move. I think that it was a great thing. She's American history. She supported American events. Salute to that sister. I wish more people stayed on code and actually support the ancestors correctly. Even though I want to
Right.
hear what her thoughts on about reparations, though, because Beyonce ain't said nothing about reparations, but she got a Buffalo Soldier T-shirt.
Well,
Come
Beyonce
on now.
doesn't talk, honey. Is visual. She's an entertainer and she stays in her place, which is why I love her even more. It is not her place to sit up here and advocate for such policies, but she does use her platform to highlight the history and accomplishments and the contributions of Black Americans. So no,
Could
she's
I
staying in her place in her lane.
wait? Can I close out on this? But the thing is, when you got an Angela Jolie and all these other actors and entertainers that push their interests and their agendas and actually know the research and know a little thing or two about it, it makes me wonder about Black entertainers. Are they doing this on purpose, not supporting the lineage-based collective community, or are they just really that clueless? All
Clueless.
right, because their counterparts are not that clueless, as in like you have the Asian people pushing their agenda. You got J Lo and Fat Joe pushing the agenda about the border and open borders and all this other goofy stuff. So it seems like our entertainers are always out of the norms of the Black collective and the expectations that they should have in representing us and at least knowing what we're advocating and fighting for. So, like, I really think we need to start putting them to task too. But that's not here nor there. But I do support her wearing that Buffalo Soldier T-shirt.
My turn.
Sure, go ahead, Nancy.
Hey, well, I'm a lot of American Indian, and there is no indigenous anything. I mean, we came over from Asia when the land was still connected. Okay, that's really the truth. So we may be in the first ones here, maybe, but that's kind of the story of it. And I wish we'd all stop this code thing because the only code we better get on is the one that's fighting against the globalists that are trying to turn us into world government and take away all of our freedom. All of us, if we ever figured that out and got together against the bad guys that are trying to take us all into imprisonment, we might be able to win it, you know? And I'm not butthurt over what happened to American Indians. There's things about it that I don't like, but there's nobody alive today that did it. And so, I mean, I just wish we could get together. That's all I wish. And we might be able to win this thing. Well, Negro, you don't think so? You think we ought to I'll just all stay separate? I think that's a good plan, and all
We
go
are
off into
all
silos.
Miss Nancy. We are already separate. And I can use Connecticut as an example. I think over like majority of them are white enclaves, and Black people are confined to like 5 different areas in the state of Connecticut or something like that.
It's
And
not
that was
like
the
that in
state that
most
I left
places,
at.
though. It's in Connecticut,
No,
though.
no, but I'm just giving a highlight, an example that we're already separated in our own abodes, minding our own Black-owned
But
business.
that typically happens in lefty states. I live in Texas. It ain't like that here. It was not
Ma-
like
ma-
that in Oklahoma, where I
Ma'am,
was
I went
born
to
and raised.
Texas. Ma'am, I
Huh?
traveled to Texas. I've been to Texas before. Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
not
like
like
that.
that here.
Hold on for a
Ma'am,
second,
why do they
Judge.
have the
I
war?
send you a co-host request. Did you just click on a co-host request? Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. They had. That's why they had the wards, ma'am. They have like the fifth ward, fourth ward, third ward. Like, come on now. Like,
But
stop, stop,
that's in
stop.
Connecticut, and it
No,
happens
no, no.
in
I'm
lefty
talking about
states.
Texas, ma'am. I'm talking about Texas, ma'am. Because I've been
Well,
out there.
I know who my next door neighbors are. I know who I worked with. I mean, I've had managers that were black. I'm just talking about reality, and it was in tech, right? I just wish we could come together. I wish we could come together. I just wish we could.
No, I'm all set. They just need to pay what's owed, and then I might think about coming together.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to shut up. No one was alive today that had slaves. My ancestors didn't have any slaves. If I want to be butthurt about American Indian and what everything happened to them, then I guess I could ask for all kinds of stuff
No,
too.
no, no. You guys
But I
got
wish
y'all
we could
guys
come
already got
together.
stuff, man. You guys already got stuff. You guys got
What I
reservations.
get?
Guys got your own nation. Like heck, you even got federal laws in y'all favor. Like what you talking about,
It's
player?
all of our nation. I consider
No, no,
everybody
no,
on the
no, no,
same
man.
on
Man, I've
all U.S.
actually
citizens
worked on
being
a tribal. I
equal.
actually did work on a tribal nation, man. I actually know what it's like. They discriminate no different from the white man
But
from
see,
my perspective.
I don't participate in that. I consider myself an American citizen, just like you. We're on the same level, in my opinion.
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Anyway,
We're
I
not
shut
on the
up now.
same. No way. If
Nice to
we
see
were
you,
on the same
Judge.
level, then if we were on the same level, that means I'll be on jury duty, man, and persecuting to some of these white supremacists, and you know that's not the reality. So stop
Well,
Let
it.
me ask you a question. Why aren't you on jury duty?
I didn't catch that, Judge. And good
Why
afternoon to you.
aren't you on jury duty? In my
Yeah,
courtroom for
I've
10 years,
never,
it
I've
was
never
about
out of my 38,
77% black. What
out
happened
of
where
my,
you are?
I'm 38. I moved to Dover now. I moved to Delaware. So, out of my 38 years of my lifespan, I have never got a jury notice or anything. That's a fact.
Well,
And we
I'm
know that,
seventy-eight years old.
systematically.
I've gotten one in 78 years, and it wasn't even in the state I lived in. But I've run juries. But I mean,
But
that's not anything unusual.
no, but that's the problem. See, they got it's crazy how they have all these all white juries, right? And
They
nobody
don't
doesn't
have
call
all
that.
white juries.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
in
they do.
10 years,
I
when
just
Shelby
watched one in
County,
grad class. Like, what are you
hold
talking
on,
about? I just watched one.
you don't see enough. I saw several thousand juries over 50 years, and I cannot say whether you're in Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Illinois, Kentucky, that was the rule. It varied by circumstance in the same place depending upon what came out of the box. Now,
You could
right
say
now,
that you.
I hear what you're saying, young man, all the time right here in Shelby County. But 75% of the jury pool is black. 75% of the cops and sheriff's deputies are black. 90% of the Board of Education is black. 90% of the county commission is black. 90% of the city council is black. The city
But
and council mayors are
but
black.
Judge,
Chief
you
of
act like
police
that.
is
That's
black. The
around
sheriff's
you.
black. And we still have young black folk talking about white supremacy. What is it? You can't get
Judge
any
Joe.
deeper than that.
Wait,
This is the
wait, wait, wait.
majority. So why are people proceeding
Judge
it
Joe Brown,
the
you
other way
act like
around?
that's the norm nationally around the United States. It might
Yeah.
happen in your neck of the woods, but it ain't happening in my neck of the woods
I
like that.
lived in
So like
California,
we got to
San
be honest about that.
Francisco, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver, Colorado, Aspen, Colorado, Chicago, Washington, D.C.,
So they
all
have an
kinds of
all
places.
wait. So they have a courthouse where they have a black judge, a black bailiff, black jury. They got that like they have it all white. Unless they have something like that, Judge,
It
then
varies.
that's
They
equal to
have
me. No, no,
that.
no. That's equal to me. That's
That
the
they
standard of
have that.
equality to
Brother,
me.
black people are employed, very heavily employed by the government. The fact is, they too busy worried about the other motherfucker not taking care of themselves, looking in.
All right, first off, let me just reset the room. Number
Watch your
one, we
language.
don't curse. We don't use the F. We're not doing the F. And it is an order. So please
We
don't come up
can't
in
because
here.
we are on its Facebook too, and I mean not
And
Facebook,
then even if we wasn't,
YouTube,
I
and
don't
they
want to
won't let
hear
us.
it. I don't want to hear the F, even if I was not on YouTube, but because that's just one of the rules. Do not say the F word. Um,
Okay, here's the point. We are so dependent on a mindset that's been carefully grafted into our heads over a half century that we can't even think outside that envelope. So we think as perpetual victims. It's like I look at people and I watch them closely, used to
So explain
represent
the
them.
exoneration rate,
And
Judge.
what
Come on
goes
now.
on is I'm saying, dude, what your problem is, client, is you're looking at stuff at the wrong way. If you change your perspective, you would see all of the opportunity instead of all of the limitations.
Judge,
And the
I
world
really
is
think.
not fair. What did you have for dinner last night? Let me ask you.
Yeah. I actually had a good meal. I'm trying to think
What
of
did
it
you
right
have?
now. Shoot, I forgot, man, because I just eat and keep it going.
Are
I
you
just came back.
vegetarian?
No, 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 no. We don't
Well,
do
do
no.
you think it was fair to the animal you ate that you ate it? See,
Hey,
life in the
man,
world is
wait, man,
not
are you
fair.
comparing? Wait, are you comparing black folks to animals now? Come on now,
Yes.
Judge. No,
Yeah.
Judge. No, we can't
Okay,
do that.
okay, okay.
We
Let's
can't
talk about what's
digress.
going on in Israel right now. You got Israel fighting the Islamic faction. The Islamic faction is saying it got dispossessed by Israelis. Israelis biblically displaced the Canaanites, who were the original occupants of Jerusalem in Israel. So it's been one several thousand year long period of internecine warfare. Might makes right. We dispossessed this country from the Native Americans. We dispossessed it from Mexican Americans. They dis
Who is we?
they
Negroes
displaced
were in
a lot of
chains. Who
Native
is we?
Americans. That's the way the world works. Rome started out as one small village on one of 7 hills, now known as Rome. It took over the 7 hills, took over all of Italy, and then the whole known world. All right, that's the way humans
But
work.
show me the Negroes that were
I
dispossessed in
don't give a
Indian
damn
land.
about Negroes. Negroes don't have to be Negroes. They can be black people or people who happen to have a certain ethnic or genetic construct, but they can get their asses together and do what they need to do to make it instead of looking at victims. It's like you got that whole world out there. You can take a shotgun, a 12 gauge, or a 30-06, walk out in the woods with a small knife and feed and survive as long as you want to, if you know how to do it. If you
But
don't,
but
then what
so the
you're
Jewish people can be
facing is a
victims, but the Negroes
whole
can't, though.
forest of adversity that'll quickly kill you. But you got to know how to do it. So if you refuse to learn how to survive in your environment, that's your fault.
All
You
right.
got to learn how to deal with what your world is.
So I want to go. I want to move to
I'm not getting on you, son. It's just the way, stop looking at stuff that way. It's like I go out and
My
I see
turn.
a field in a
no, it's not your
forest and I say,
turn.
oh man, look at
Sarah.
all the game. If I wanted to stand out here, I could have some delicious meals over the next month if I had the time to spend out here. Some other people go out there and go, oh my God, I'm going to die tomorrow. It's all how you look at it and all what you see. Some people can recognize, see, and exploit opportunity. Others look out and think it's a disaster that there's no way they can deal with. That's what they taught you, to be helpless, because when you're helpless, you're easy to manipulate. You are free labor. You are somebody that can be not so much exploited for their labor now because it's surplus to requirements, but your vote
They
can
just
be
sent us to
had,
jail
and
for
you
free
can get a
labor, Judge Joe
reward by
Brown.
line dancing out in front of
Mass
a poll.
incarceration.
No, it's not mass incarceration. We don't have to go kill each other, rob each other, burglarize each other, sell drugs to each other, pimp each other, and brutalize each other.
Then explain that
Wait,
exoneration
hold
rate,
on, the
then,
Negro.
Judge.
Wait,
Who
wait,
do
wait.
you think
Stop,
are the victims of
stop,
most of
because
our
I have to
crime?
get to other speakers. I have
We
to.
are not going out playing Robin Hood and robbing rich white folk to bring back to the poor neighborhoods. We are ripping off our own neighborhoods. So, what do you, when you talk about victims of crime, you're talking about a damn fool mammy sitting around talking with her friends, getting high, smoking, and drinking a 40 ounce, rather than sitting at the kitchen table to teach her children how to read, write, and work in
Crime
the
is at an
world.
all-time low in our
You better cut
community.
it
What are you
out,
talking
Judge
about?
Joe Brown. They gonna get.
What are you talking about? There ain't no white man sitting across a kitchen table keeping you from reading and learning and doing your homework when you're growing up. That's how you get ahead. Everybody does. Even the rich folk do that. They make sure their kids do their homework. Trust me, I've seen them. And then we sit up there and we got everything else to go on. We get tablets and we get distractions and we send them to daycare and they have tie-dyed t-shirt nonsense that doesn't teach them anything. And then they get to school and we have the obscenity of renting limos for graduation from kindergarten. And we think that's something. That is an embarrassment to look at that. And we don't do anything about it. We sit there and we look at Tyler Perry, and he sits there and idolizes pimping and perversion. And what do we call that thing? We got fools that manifest the epitome of sometimes it's not a question of whether someone's a fool, but how big a fool can a damn fool be? And we glorify them and look at them as great leaders and heroes. What is wrong with us? The thing that's wrong with us is we got to start all over again. We used to go to church, but now you go to church and you got one of the biggest pimps in the hood sitting up there trying to pimp you for your money. And you got fools with mega churches all over TV where they got damn fools lined up to contribute $5,000 because some pimp pervert is up there trying to get a bigger Rolls Royce limo for his family or get his wife her ninth fur coat. And we sit up there and we talk about this. We ought to be ashamed. And we keep talking about we're isolated. There ain't nobody in human history tried to isolate themselves. If you go back to the middle of the last ice age, as far as you can find, you find humanity trying to promote intercourse with itself, to find the trade routes, to get the pepper, the spices, the silk, to get the salt, to get the water, to get the resources. And we're running around now talking about we're going to go fruits and vegetables like we're some kind of Neolithic farmer 8,000 years ago just learning what that's about. Good Lord, what is the matter with us? And then we get to talk about it ain't our country. Where else in hell are you going to live? You want to go live down in one of those shitholes in some third world place where the sewage runs down the middle of the damn street? And they got flies buzzing all over hell, and everybody's got some kind of weird ass disease that people in civilized countries study just to see what the devil is going on.
Okay.
What is the matter? And they don't even want you over there because you still trying to be a scratch earth Neolithic farmer 8,000 years out of date, and they want somebody learning how to work the real world, and we don't know because we are trying to go back to grow damn fruits and vegetables and get isolated from everybody else. Doesn't work that way. You can't even walk out on the damn streets without somebody halfway running over you with a car, and that person may come from 90 miles away from where you live.
Mhm.
So you're not going to get isolated. They got airplanes flying over you that have left 3,000 miles from where you happen to be. How you think you're going to get isolated? There's no way in the devil. So learn what the 21st century is about. Bring yourself into the middle of it, son. And anybody else listening, you got to learn to work with it. It is not going to let you go because just like whatever the devil you ate on your plate that was meat, it was alive, breathing, and it died. So you could eat it. That's the way the world works. And if you don't sit there and put yourself at the top of the food chain, you get treated like you're not. And that is a reality.
All right. So,
Now, I'm sorry to get enthused about saying it, but it needs to be heard.
well, I want to because it's been speakers that's been waiting, and I did put the order. So I have Empress George, Nancy, Judge Sarah, Hall, No, Sway Me. And then Negro, I'll swing back to you. And I want to say thank you, Shut Up, for coming up in the beginning, just getting the space going. And thank you, the Negro, as well, and Nancy with the pre-conversation. So the topic, Trump says F you to Israel and Iran, because he said they don't know what the F they're doing. And also Carmelo Anthony, he got charged with first degree murder today via the grand jury. And then, and of course, anything else somebody want to bring to the table as a discussion, you are free to do it. So, Empress. Oh, and hi, Peter.
Hey, what's going on?
Is that a thing for Italians? They always late, or is it a Sicilian thing? You have nothing.
It's a Sicilian
Oh,
thing. We come a little later.
oh
Yeah,
okay.
I've been hanging out with a lot of Dominicans in my crew, so I'm on Dominican time.
Oh, okay. Hi, Empress. Go ahead.
Much Detroit love to you, Dana. Much Detroit love, Peter. And handsome Joe Brown, we love you. We support you 100%.
Empress, we go through this every
Empress, you're in the
time.
matrix.
Yes, Empress, the connection, honey. You keep moving
Thank
around
Can
in
you
you.
the
hear me
house.
better now?
Yes.
Hear me better now?
Yes and no.
Yeah,
About now. Okay.
we can hear you.
Well, you know, I'll be walking. I'll be walking. So here's what I want to bring a couple things to light. Now, I did say that when July comes, it's going to start the season of fire because Mercury, that deals in communications, has entered into Leo. It's going to stay there until September 2nd. People will get into their personal feelings, make bad decisions, and like most gaslighters, don't want to accept when they are wrong. So it's going to play out where it's going to be a laughing stock for everybody to see. The choices that's being made with this war is minor, but it's the repercussions that will come later on, is the element of surprise that many people are not going to be prepared for. When people show you who they are the first time, believe them. When you have a Majara spirit, the ancestors will remind you of what has happened in that land, how your blood has been innocently shed from an oppressor. When you hear someone say, well, nobody of my lineage is no longer alive, so they can't be held responsible, that's nonsense, because you get to benefit just on the skin alone, while innocent blood was shed with deplorable things happening. And I see retaliation coming from this whole thing of Israel versus Iran, whether you agree or disagree. It goes back, what I like is the old Bible, Hagar versus Sarah. And when you get into that, you will understand it will be a lifelong journey just with the nations alone that has nothing to do in a direct way with many other countries. If more people understood that Bible and they wasn't on a demonic ideology, they would understand there's a time you let things blow over. It amazes me that I've been noticing all of 2023, 2024, not as much this year. Everybody wants the Black community to speak up in their wars, their fights, their plots, and it's not happening. It's a new day. Many of foundational Black Americans is tired. It's time to uplift yourself. Stop putting your life on the line for individuals that racially detest you and will never respect you. And so you're going to see many things that's going to come out with Fat Joe, Dana, that he's going to lose it all just on his words. He has to be humbled, and universally, he's going to be humbled. So I just say sit back and watch because it's going to be deep retaliation. And the retaliation going to affect millions. And the way I'm seeing this in the spirit, I see fire all in the skies. I see late night like a triangle of flames coming and just striking many different areas. And I've been seeing half of the states will be affected and some states will never. But I see a lot of fire coming out of the air itself. If you notice the flames and humidity already in the air, it's overly hot. It isn't just a little hot. This is extremely hot. Prepare for some flames. When another
Thank you,
man, another
Empress.
woman,
Oh, I
you
thought you.
concert, don't matter. I'll just end in saying this. It don't matter who's in concert where. When the plagues and the viruses start coming, they're going to start stopping people from traveling. This is something to prepare for. Because I definitely see viruses, plagues coming back. As it starts to get more into the Leo season, it's going to really light it up. I suggest everyone stock up on your produce, your non-perishable items. You're going to need them. I'm done.
Thank you, Empress. George.
Hello, my friend. Thank you. Your Honor, good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Very happy to see you. Grew up watching you. Grew up watching Judy and Mills Lane. A huge fan. Very happy to be here. I've been scraping the internet looking for a copy of the actual indictment in Carmelo Anthony. I don't know if that's public yet. I've just read some news reports on it. Um, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage in the sense that I don't want to comment on a case where only news reports are available. But I heard you commenting on church, and that's always one of my favorite subjects. And I think you've hit on something with all of this prosperity gospel nonsense, and pastors trying to get rich, and people like Joel Osteen perverting the whole thing. So I always like to invite people to my church, and what I like about it is it's not based on sort of any individual pastor who shows up, whether sort of you like them. It's a much older church, and in my place, like one thing I'm very proud of. One of the common complaints about churches filled with people like me, of course, you've heard this, is that they don't season the food. But at the Greek Orthodox Church, I'm very proud that we have lots of like rich garlic sauces and souvlaki and fancy desserts. And I wonder, Judge Brown, have you ever been to the Greek Orthodox Church? Do you have
I
any?
have. I have. I'll
And did
say
you?
this one thing that is good is a good preacher who talks about personal accountability, responsibility, and behaving in an appropriate fashion. That's always a good thing for any community.
Amen.
But I have been to Orthodox services.
I hope they fed you, Your Honor.
Well, yes and no.
Uh
And
oh.
it's been a long time and over long years. So, yes, I've experienced it. Some of the stuff is very interesting.
Interesting good or interesting bad?
Uh, Both.
Okay. When a judge looks at you from the bench and says, "Counsel, that's interesting," that's when you have to start worrying. That's when you start to think you haven't persuaded the judge.
It may be novel. Keep going. You might stumble onto something, or you
Yeah,
might overturn a few more spades full of earth that reveal something interesting down there, more interesting. Yeah, but anyway, I appreciate good preachers.
Yeah, no, as we all should, and I appreciate you, Your Honor. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the case.
One thing I want to add just very briefly about what's going on over there: nuclear weapons are very dangerous things. So far, two of them have been set off in world history in anger, and they were very, 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 very small. The typical submarine has torpedoes on board, or did, that are more powerful than what they dropped on
Wait,
Nagasaki.
are you talking about Israel and Iran, or are you talking about
No, I'm
Carmelo?
talking about in the world situation. So
Well,
what you have,
he asked you about Carmelo.
yeah, well, what I'm getting back to that too. What we have right now is we have expectations of being able to carry out our emotions. Boom, we feel like doing something. Let's go do this because we are angry. Well, there are practical considerations, and that extends from violence in the neighborhood, at the liquor store, at the gas station, retaliation against some perceived wrong against somebody who just happens to be associated maybe with a law enforcement agency, all the way up to what's going on over there in Israel. And somehow or another, you have to understand that there is a system of order that has to be preserved, because when it is not, it spreads. It becomes a cancer that metastasizes, and it becomes lethal to the whole system. So that's what we're seeing over there, is a situation where there are nukes. We have a situation here where there are people who are getting more closely proximate at each other. The population is getting more and more crowded in the United States. There aren't vacant streets anymore, except in places that have gotten repressed because of the crime and violence. So we have to do stuff to stand up to it. But then again, it has to be righteous rather than just exploiting stuff because you want to carry out lawfare with it. And we have to understand that everyone is accountable. And that goes back to my remarks with preachers. We don't get served when we get pimp preachers from pulpits who are trying to say all you have to do is believe and you're not accountable for what you do otherwise. We are accountable for what we do. And we have to take it upon ourselves collectively to not only have individual, neighborly law and order, but we have to extend that law and order elsewhere. And that also includes embracing normalcy or normalcy, rather than going out on a limb saying freak is cool. Let's get our freak on at all costs. That does not work. So anyway, that's kind of obtuse, but I think it addresses the big point. It's a big picture that's continuous in spectrum. I passed the mic. Thank you.
Okay, George, was that it, or did you want to say something else?
Yeah, no, that was kind of it, in the sense of I know Carmelo Anthony's in the title, and we could begin to speculate because he brings the knife, he does make a statement to the police. He admits he's the person who does the stabbing. He alleges self-defense, but without the actual indictment in hand, it's somewhat difficult to say, well, how many counts are there even. And as the judge will remind us, we shouldn't judge a case until it's gone to a verdict.
Do you have any comments, Judge, on Carmelo Anthony? The grand jury, they,
They returned the indictment today.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
surprised. And by the way, the amount of time they took is about par for the course. When the indictment is returned too quickly, somebody didn't do their homework. They were just rushing for political appearances. Now, uh, I'm not going to really comment on the case because I know how they are, and a lot of it depends upon what the jury's going to look like. But basically, people need to brush up on excessive use of force when it comes to self defense and get an understanding of what that's all about. We used to learn that in the fifth and sixth grade because they thought it was something we should learn since we live in the world. Nowadays, nobody does anything, and the only teaching you get is watching a Tyler Perry farce or something like that. And that's not the way it works. So he's innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We'll see what happens. And I've tried enough cases as prosecutor, lawyer, or
Well, let me say
judge to
something
know
to
how
that,
it works
because
out.
there are media outlets that they keep saying murderer Carmelo Anthony charged with first degree, they're throwing these negative adjectives, behind his name, and it's like, yeah, he's innocent until proven guilty. So that's one of the things that does not sit well with me. But yeah, so all right, let's go to
I think
Judge
it's my
Sarah.
turn. Hey, you guys. Hey, Judge Joe Brown and Dana and Peter, who I'm gonna woo. Hey, Dana, I want to say this to you. When I see your face, I have to remember to temper my emotions. You've gotten on me multiple times about cursing. I'm so sorry that I'm not mindful of that, and it's not out of disrespect. I want you to know that because you've got on me about cursing. That's probably the third or fourth time. Okay, Dana, can you hear me?
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I
No,
appreciate
it
that.
is a problem. It is a problem because you told me multiple times, and I don't want to disrespect your space, and it causes you. I do video, so it's going to cause you to have to go find me and delete me, or it's going to cause you more time to edit me out, and I don't want that for you. So I apologize. So I've got to do something to not do it. So when I see your face, I have to say, "Be calm." Don't
No,
go,
I
don't
appreciate that.
overreact. And to be honest with you, it's based on when I come in and what I hear. And I gotta take the emotion out of what's going on, and that's the only way I'm gonna be better. But I want to talk about Trump, Carmelo Anthony, and some stuff that the judge was talking about. Donald Trump, you guys, that's my man. I want to say that's my MF. Can I say that? That's my MF. I love me some Donald Trump. And what y'all seeing is he's frustrated and he's tired. He Donald Trump wants to do a good job. He is a negotiator, he's diplomatic, and he tries to create mutual beneficial relationships. He could be aggressive but assertive most of the time. So him getting mad at Israel is because we have Israel back. We said, okay, we're your partner, we got your back. But then you're gonna go and do something that holds up to your agreement, makes him look bad, and that's him saying, "Don't play with me, because I'll step out of this." Okay. Anyway, then Carmelo Anthony, his murder charge. I am um I'm very much concerned about that. I just looked. His GoFundMe is only a half a mil. It's like 536,000, and they went ahead and made it up to 1,396,000. I see, which I'm glad. I'm thinking he needs like 2 million. The gentleman left Negro talking about black people. Um, I want to talk about somewhat of what Judge O'Brien was saying about our responsibility, our behavior, and the guy left. And the truth of the matter is, there are two Americas. America's broken their promise to black people under the 14th Amendment. The problem is you keep looking to them to save you. They're not going to save you. We are not their responsibility. We are our own responsibility. We can see, okay, so when Carmelo Anthony first murdered that boy, I didn't know it was black or whatever. I'm a mother. Had somebody murdered my child, I would have lost my mind regardless. The first thing that came to me was like, oh my God, they done lost their child. And the twin was there. But then I'm a black American in this country, and I know what it is to be black in this country. First thing that concerns me is they're not showing the video. And every like how we're hearing about it is from people, and this is, I'm gonna keep them 100. I'm MAGA. I'm hardcore MAGA. I done fell out with some people on MAGA about this young man. Okay. But the fact is, I know what it is to be black in this country. I don't know what this little boy went through. I don't know what caused him to do that. They won't show the video. Each time someone posts something about Carmelo Anthony, I have to go and research it. They lied and said he's bought a house, which was ignorant. Black people were posting that ignorance, that he bought a house and a car. He ain't even took the money out of the account yet. Then someone said, "Oh, they showed the video, but they only let a specific people look at it, media to look at it, and it said that he was not aggressive, that he didn't do anything." Then I go and I research it. They said the comment was it was explosive. Why aren't we seeing the video? Why don't we know? So you sit in this room and you complain about being black and what it is to be black in America, but you do nothing. You're not doing anything to save this little boy, to make sure that he gets a fair trial. You're just sitting in a room crying and complaining and saying, woe is me. And that's why I say we the easy fruit. They can pick us really easily because we don't stick together. We always blaming somebody else for our own responsibility. And yeah, are we victims? We're victims because we continue to allow ourselves to be victims. Judge Joe Brown, he was my hero when I was younger because he was a black man who spoke eloquently. He would chastise the people in his court. This is me being a young girl, like 10, 12, 13, watching this black man speak eloquently, that he would chastise men. He was my hero. And it's crazy that I could talk to him today for me. He always spoke to people and he was very adamant. He always held men accountable. That's what wooed me about him. That he made men be men. So I hope you understand where I'm going. And then he goes, I'm sorry, because we're getting tired of them looking at us like we dumb. We can't compete, that we're children. We need them to take care of us. That's embarrassing for us to go out here when we know that nobody's better than us. Anyway, Dana, I appreciate you letting me rant. And I really apologize. When I see your face, I got to remember, don't curse. I appreciate you letting me rant, Dana.
Thank you, Judge
And thank
Sarah.
you, Judge Joe
Appreciate you.
Brown. And Peter, you'll talk later. Thank you, guys.
All righty.
Thank
And so,
you.
just to put a bow on that, you can watch the video. So the police department and I guess the county is making the video available for anybody who wants to see it. They're doing it through Freedom of Information Act requests for that are put forth, and so you can go view it, but you can't record it. And so there was actually a newscaster who watched it, and she explained what she saw in the video from across the field, from the view of the video. So
I saw
we're
that, and I saw that, and she said what she said was explosive. And when she said that, I thought she was talking to the media. I didn't know anybody can do that. I appreciate you telling me. I heard what she said, and this is what they do. I'm going to do a video probably today or tomorrow about it. It's the way they characterize it, the words that they use, how in the heck they went. I'm telling you what's going on. Listen, I love black people. I'm not a racist. I will never be a racist. I hang out with everybody, okay? But I know if they're not fair to us, it's because we're not making them be fair. This is America. We the people. We supposed to dictate what goes on. When you sitting around crying, ain't saying nothing and letting it happen, it's gonna happen. That's what happens when you live in a competitive society. Anyway, Peter, I saw the video, and I appreciate you telling me that. You could send me a link. I heard her say what she said. She talked about it was across the room, across the field. It was on the field. I watched that, and she said it was explosive. So, family, when they are not detailed about what's going on, then it's something ain't something rotten in Denmark. When they don't tell you specifically, they don't say the judge's name or say specifically, there's something rotten in Denmark. And see, I know that because I have an education. You go get an education, they'll teach you how to think critically too. But I appreciate you, Peter.
of course.
All right. So, Hall, no. Hall, no. And then Sway Me, then Sherelle.
Hi, thanks for letting me chime in. Judge Joe, I think you're amazing. I loved your commentary when you came out and Kamala Harris was running for office, and you gave some feedback on what a lovely candidate you thought she was.
Ah,
Um, I just
ah,
wanted
ah.
to compliment you on that. I think what you do for the community and young men is fantastic in trying to encourage people to aspire to have some accountability for their own actions and be responsible people. So, my compliments to you just as a human being.
Thank you.
Yes. And then I kind of chimed in initially because the young man that was speaking about jury duty, I live in California. My son went and he had a case, self-defense case, and we went ahead and got a jury in Los Angeles, California. And what I found to be really interesting was that three of the jury members they could not speak English, nor could they read it. So that was very interesting to me that we had in our jury selection three individuals who could not speak English, nor could they read it. So that was very interesting. We had to have an interpreter throughout my son's case. So as far as who gets called in for jury duty, it was definitely not in his favor. So if we were talking, if we were making it a race thing, which I'm highly against because I really think that we all need to start just being Americans. But if we were to make it a race thing, there were only two people on that jury that were of his race. So it was highly prejudice, and it didn't turn out well for him. And it was a self-defense case, and my son is handicapped, so there were many things they didn't allow to be in the case to be heard, and it was quite unfair. So I just wanted to say that about the jury duty, and then as far as I wanted
You
also.
by the way, you're really right on that. Some of the people that run that system are used to, they are retired now. I recruited to law school, so I've had intimate conversations with them about what went on. And I will clue you to something that Johnny Cochran did to win that OJ case, prevail in the OJ case. And what it was there was a bias that's been inherent in the jury system in Los Angeles for 50, 60 years. And that was the fiction that the Central District was the one where all of the complex civil cases came. So you had to switch a whole thing about jury selection for that district, where it also winds up with a lot of black folk and minorities ending up, so that they could have sophisticated juries. That isn't the case. So what Cochran did is he managed to work the system so that OJ got a jury where the panel looked more like its peers. And that was the secret to the victory, because otherwise there really wasn't much to the state's case. But that is exactly right. You're dead on point. There is a problem with that.
It's not going to get fixed. It's yes. But so Cochran was very smart. So high five. He's an attorney. He won his case, and that's what he was. That was the job he was hired to do. So he did a great job. So it's quite unfair, actually. And what makes it really bad? It was actually a gun case, brandishing a weapon. And the interesting part about it was, it wasn't a, it was, there was a guy that was chasing my son who's handicapped, and in a vehicle. And the kid got away, he got away. And like 3 weeks later, this same gang member, actually, my kid's a skinny, Where's Waldo type, and he's has medical challenges, physically. So he's not a fighter by any means. And he just so happened, we had gone shooting the day before at the shooting range, and my son had the lower half of a firearm in the gun. So I mean, in the car, because he was going to clean it at work. He works in aerospace and defense industry, and he was going to take it to work and clean it in some cleaning machine they have there. So it wasn't even a full gun. It wasn't even, it had no bullets, nothing in it. It was just the lower half of a gun. And this guy caught up with him again and was chasing him. And this time he managed to, in a major intersection, pull his vehicle in front of my son's vehicle and block him. The gang guy gets out of his vehicle and approaches my son's car. And out of pure fear, my son remembers, oh, I have that thing in the car. It's just a prop, for that matter. He picks it up and holds it and pretends like he's got a gun to hold it, to make it look like it, to scare this guy away. Actually does not scare the guy away. And my son sees an opening in traffic, does a reverse, gets away. The bad guy, or the gang guy, ended up testifying in court and said, in testimony, he says, I could see the fear in his face. He testified and said that he could see the fear in my son's face. We even have video footage of the vehicles being chased by the guy's vehicle. And all of this evidence, my son still got a brandishing charge, which is crazy. I mean, so if you're a woman in California and you have pepper spray, you can get a brandishing charge if you use that in defensiveness. You can get a charge, and you'll go to jail. So in California, you really have no authority here to have any kind of Second Amendment is not a thing. But I think that because California is so against guns, that is part of the reason why his case lost. Yeah, the jury, but that's probably why they didn't let so much evidence in. They didn't let his medical condition in. They didn't, let any of this evidence in that he was physically handicapped and he would not have been able to defend himself and that he was afraid. So it was just a really crazy thing. But I just wanted to let that young man know, juries, depends on what state you're in. But, and I'm an American. I'm a registered voter. I can speak English just fine, and I have never been called for jury duty. So that's the other interesting thing about it. And I'd be happy to go if I ever did get called. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that, um, I think that the more you give a society of people, the weaker you make them. And I think that with what's happening in my state in California, we're basically trading a populace for another populace because I think it's easier to control. If you have a lot of people who are in your country illegally and they have a certain amount of fear because they don't want to get kicked out and they're worried, and not because Trump showed up, because that's just kind of how they live their lives. They're here illegally, so they don't push back. Americans, we have a constitution, we know our rights, we tend to push back. So like when our kids' school is saying we're going to do this, we push back and go, no, you're not. But when you have an overwhelming populace of illegals who are not fluent in the language, you have a more compliant populace, more easy for the politicians to um, um, direct and do whatever they want. So I think I really wish that all Americans, no matter what the hell color you are, could just simply unite and understand we are all equal. Let's get rid of this race thing because we need to stick together, guys, and be one united American body of people. Otherwise, we're going to lose our country to socialism. And that is a very, very scary thought. So I hope someday we can get rid of the race thing. Last thing, Judge, I got to say one thing to you though. We purchased California, Utah, Nevada, several other from Mexico. So we actually paid for this territory. We didn't take it, we didn't steal it. Yes, you're right. The Indians got ripped off for sure, but they've got casinos now, so I feel like they're happy. At least the ones in California are. Chumash is happy. But we did purchase this territory. We paid for it. So that's what's up with that. So that was the only thing I had to disagree with you. And on
Well,
the young
I'm
man
not
who,
disagreeing with you. I said
okay, okay.
it's been done. That's just the way humanity has done it. It's like when
Yeah,
I grew up in
we
Los
bought it. We
Angeles.
signed the deed.
I grew
We
up in
paid.
L.A. and I
I
went
got
to
you.
John. I went to 24th Street Elementary School, Budlong Avenue, John Muir, briefly Manual Arts, then Dorsey High, and then UCLA. And growing up, it was kind of I just whipped you. Now what you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
And
well,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
question. See, we're too used to, we have to protect the children from the bullies, you see. But at some point, you get too grown to be protected. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, you are in trouble. So that's what it is. And it's kind of law for thousands of years all over the world is acknowledged might makes right. And also right of conquest, so that's how it worked. The longest
And that
running.
brings me to the Carmelo Anthony case that you said that, because I 100% agree with you. And the only issue that I've got with that is to make it to say, hey, here's what's up. The young man brought a knife to the school. So like you said, Judge Joe, back when I was young too, kids got in fights. That happened, but you didn't bring a knife
No,
to the fight.
you punched it
And if
out.
you did, your intentions were very clear. You weren't just there to get in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no excuse to bring a knife to
Judge, just
defend
hold,
yourself.
Judge Sarah,
Uh,
just wait. You can stay on your mic, please.
who's talking? Somebody's talking?
Judge Sarah was.
Oh, okay. Well, all I'm saying.
I was responding to her how she did her whole story about her.
All right, but just wait till judge finishes, and then you could give your response.
Well, go ahead, ma'am, or whatever. I didn't mean to
No, I
interrupt
just
you.
want to say what she now you're speculating about why he had a knife in his bag. And you know what? When you say we're gonna all be Americans, ma'am, I believe in that. Okay, but you have to understand the history of black people. They don't even have studies about what it is to be a black man in this country and what goes on in your brain. I'm studying what happens to us because no one cares about that. It's something called the limbic system. It's many parts of the brain. We don't know why he reacted the way he did. That's why he needs $2 or $3 million to protect him. The way what happened to your son was wrong. California is the most corrupt state in this country. Your son shouldn't have been convicted. I know that just by listening to you. And the fact that you are speculating about this young boy is the same way they speculated about your son. Your son was innocent based on what you said. If what you said was
Well, I
true.
didn't speculate because his father actually went on TikTok, which I wouldn't have recommended he
Ma'am, I'm not
do.
gonna. We can let it go because I don't believe what you're saying. I'm smarter than that. I'm college educated
No,
and I'm
no,
critical.
I'm
Ma'am,
serious.
listen. We'll let
His dad did
go
an
ahead and squash
interview.
it. We can move on. We see who
Well,
you are. That's why they
the
don't
the
trust you.
young man's
That's why
dad.
black people don't
Yeah, but
trust you.
Judge Sarah,
I'm done.
have a dialogue. You can't just
I don't.
let her.
The
You have to let her.
I don't argue with ignorance.
May
I
I
Yeah,
don't
but
do
ask
that.
Miss
ignorance. I don't
Miss
argue with
Sarah,
ignorance. We can move on. I'm not
Judge
going to argue
Sarah,
with
may
ignorance.
I,
I don't
Judge
have the
Sarah,
bandwidth and I don't need to be
stop a
cursing in
second.
her
May I
face.
ask you a question? What
You know you
possible
can't,
just
Judge Brown.
what
You
possible
can't.
justification does a
Mhm.
minor child have to bring a deadly weapon to school?
Okay, so for first of all, I know that I'm from that generation and how he is, the masculinity. He may he may collect knives. Some people like knives. He may use knives for whatever reason, sir. And I understand and what concerns me, Judge Joe Brown, that you as a judge who's asking me that there could be a multitude of reasons why he had that knife in his bag.
There is
What's
no
more,
reason at
what's more
all for
damning
him to
to
have
me,
it.
what's more damning to me is that's a black man in this country. We watch a public hanging. We've watched black men.
That ain't got
It's
nothing
something
to
in the
do with
brain, Judge
this.
Joe Brown, called the
That ain't got
amygdala.
nothing to
And
do
because I
with
know
this.
you're well versed and intelligent, you
This
know
got
about the
nothing to do
amygdala.
with this. This
You
boy
want to
was
talk about the
captain of the
amygdala, Judge?
this boy was captain of the football team where this was located.
Can we talk about the amygdala?
There
You
was
want to
a
talk about that?
hard group of
I know
black
you know what
people
the
there.
amygdala
So
is,
what does
Judge
this
Joe Brown.
got
You
to do
never
with
let me
racism?
argue, and I'm not even a lawyer, but I can.
There is no justification for a child having a knife at a school in that circumstance and carrying it on a football or athletic field. None. There is not one legal justification you can contrive under the circumstances.
Sway me, you are next. But I see you as a listener.
Now,
Dan, I was just letting him go back and forth with the dialogue because we were listening to Hall no, and then she was asking about
she
parts
jumped
of the
in.
Carmela,
Oh yeah, no,
and
I
then
don't have a problem
Judge
with
Sarah
that.
was
Yeah. No,
exuberant about
I
it.
just noticed that Sway Me was listener, but I have her next as speaker, so I didn't know if she was.
It looks like she's connecting now too. We'll try
Oh,
to bring her back up.
okay, all right. But go ahead and resume.
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah,
Judge Sarah, if you want to finish up
yeah.
Yeah, I
your
just want to say, Judge Joe
exchange.
Brown, this is America and this is our country. I'm not one of them black people that you always talk about. I know in this country that we're supposed to be able to go to a court of law and demonstrate why. What you said, I'm concerned about because there's many reasons why that young black man had a knife in his bag. He could have been a collector. It's many reasons. And it concerns me that a black man is saying what you're saying, a black judge. And
Yeah, I am, ma'am.
that's why
There's
you
no
gotta stop looking for the
justification
other
for a
man to
child
save you,
having a
black
knife
people.
in the
You
school.
got you.
There is no justification for a child
We
having a knife
disagree,
of
sir. So
that
we'll agree.
description in a school or at an athletic
We agree to
field.
disagree, sir.
There's no
So,
justification. That's just foolishness, ma'am.
so if I recall, I think that what the police report says is the description of the knife is a single bladed folding style knife.
Yes.
There was no description in the police report, though. It didn't
In
give the
court, he will
There
size.
are
explain
some
why he
on
had a knife
Well,
in his
here's
NCIC
bag.
that are.
can I say something? And I kind of want to, and then go to Sway Me. When this Carmelo Anthony situation happened and we were holding spaces, several people, black, white, or what have you, came up and said, "Well, my kids, they would take knife. They would carry a knife with them. There were parents that said it was normal, whether they did it or their kids do it. They didn't think nothing of it. And there was another case going on. Was it Casey something? Anthony? He was found.
Case and Allison. Case and Allison.
Case and
Yeah.
Allison. He was charged with first degree in the state of Texas, and he was found not guilty on the serious ones or whatever. But it seemed like that's the norm, particularly in Texas. However, I think that's a problem that kids feel like they need to carry a weapon, period, and they should not. So if you don't have a gun, you can't use it. If you don't have a knife, you can't use it. Um, so yeah,
There's, if I can make a
I think it's a
distinction
boy
between
thing.
what
I think
used
it's
to
a
be
male
called
wait,
a
masculine
I
pocket
need
knife,
you to
boy
mute up.
thing. Is
No,
what
no,
I
no.
think.
or
I need you to mute
utility
up,
knife,
Judge Sarah, because
and
the judge is speaking. Then I have to go to Sway Me. Go ahead, Judge,
there
and
is
then
a
Sway Me.
great difference between what used to be called a pocket knife, a pen knife, and something else that's more lethal. America is a frontier place, and people grew up for hundreds of years carrying a utility tool. That's different. But when somebody is resorting to it for self defense, when the most extreme justification is a fist to somebody's jaw, teeth, mouth, or side of the head, which is what ought to have been going on, were there not such a profound lack of manhood and such an apparent effort of emasculation of the population, we wouldn't have this problem. Now,
All right.
that's where it goes dead wrong. And that's what went on here. There was no excuse to stab anyone. A
All right.
punch, a fight, a kick, a blow, something like that, yes. But
Okay.
it was a punk move.
All right. I'm gonna unmute. Sway Me.
Now,
Good evening, Dana
How
and
are you?
Judge Joe Brown, and Peter. So
Good
I
evening.
like that. Good evening. I'm happy Trump is saying "fuck you, cack" to the other two nations because it helps to remove us from it, from all of what they're doing. There's no reason why we should be involved in any of these wars that they're starting or starting throughout the world. It makes no sense, and then we shouldn't be involved anyway. I don't care how much of an ally Israel is, and we see now how Israel has been playing America, and in that we are in a predicament where we have to side with a known criminal, war criminal. This is crazy. Netanyahu is a known war criminal, and we're up here as a superpower teaming up with a war criminal that is ethnociding, and we got an ethnocide going on right here on our soil. And I'm specifically speaking, I'm changing gears now, to Friedman. I in the conversation earlier, I heard you, Judge Joe Brown. I am of the mindset, along with agreeing with Dr. Claude Anderson, that we need to separate, take our resources, and just do us. We're a nation within a nation. We don't need to be grouped in with others. We're a founding population of Americans. And so we need to do our own thing. I do believe, for us separating, ethno aggregating, we will do much better. It's already been proven in our past. The stats are there. I don't think at this point in time it serves Black American Negro freedmen to continue to um, I don't know what it is we're doing. Attempt to integrate with people that don't want you around, that make laws that don't apply to you, but they apply to you, but they don't apply to everybody else. Right? There's no reason for us being the bottom in this country, and we have received most of the hate, and a lot of it, I'm gonna just say it, and I'm mental health. A lot of what we've had to endure, others have not had to endure, right? It's a very unhealthy, abusive relationship for the freedmen in America. And we know this.
well, why
And,
don't
and
we
we
do
know that
something about
race,
it?
we know that race was created to continue to oppress and subjugate
Why
the
don't we
freedmen.
do something about it?
What we are, here's what I'm saying, Judge. Right now, here today, what we're looking at is aligning with the elder Dr. Claude
I don't
Anderson's
align with him.
Powernomics,
I know him.
and ethno aggregating and separating ourselves, getting ourselves together, focusing on ourselves, and not allowing others to distract us.
Well, wait a minute.
Because
Wait,
when
wait,
we
wait. When
fight
you
these
do that,
battles for everybody
what are you
else,
talking about doing when you?
well, I'm talking about we've been fighting battles for everybody else.
We have.
Everybody else is coming to America using our plight and acting like they have some racial issues and discrimination, and that they should be catapulted on top of us. And I
Well,
can give
why
you a
you
prime
allow that to
example of that.
happen?
I can give you a prime example of that. Well, we have
We
those
run the
corrupted,
cities.
but
We run
Judge,
New
we
York,
have
New
those
York. We
corrupted,
run
right? But
Washington
I
D.C.
get it.
We
I get it.
run
Can,
Los
can I
Angeles.
finish? We have those
So
corrupted
why do we
amongst
let
us,
this
right?
happen?
We don't we have
We
in
got
our
a crook,
macro
bunch of
world,
crooks running
but
Atlanta.
hold
We
on,
got a
Judge,
bunch of
listen to
crooks
me.
running Memphis,
Let,
Tennessee.
can
A
I give you
bunch
my
running Los
analysis?
Angeles and D.C. Whose
Right.
fault
Can I
is
give you
that?
my analysis, Judge?
Go
Can
ahead.
I give you my analysis?
Go ahead.
Okay. So we have in our micro world, in our community, our culture, the corrupt ones, right? That are working with the other corrupt ones in the government, right? That's what's going down. We got our own within amongst us that are teaming up with the others in government to make sure that we don't prevail, to make sure that we don't empower one another, to make sure our communities are destroyed, and others come in and take them, right? So this is why I am with others proposing that it is time for us as the freedmen that fought for affirmative action, that now they're saying, oh, you can't use race. We didn't create race, right? We didn't create this race thing and Jim Crow laws and black codes. But look, okay, so the Supreme Court says you cannot use race. We're freedmen. Now we have the opportunity to separate from all others, not be called minorities, right? We're freedmen. And take our resources, rebuild our towns and cities, make sure we set up our own schools for our children, and we educate our children. We set up our hospitals, all the things we did before. We can do it now.
And
And
what
that's where
what
I'm at.
makes you think that's going to happen right now when the
Well,
opportunity has been
I can tell
given
you,
away?
our elder, Dr. Claude
I
Anderson,
don't buy
has laid
Claude
it out.
Anderson
And we
everything he
can take
says. I
his
know him. I've
strategy
had
and his
confidential talk.
plan,
Anyway,
and
he's okay, but
as an
he's
ethnic
what it
group.
is. He's not a
But
savior
Judge Joe
anyway.
Brown, it's a
Go ahead.
plan. It's a strategy we can implement. You're
It's not
saying, what
going
are
to
we going to
work. It
do?
never
It's
works when
there.
you
It's
try to
written.
isolate yourself. It does not work.
Why does it
Nobody
not
can
work, Judge?
isolate
This ain't
themselves.
working.
The world's too small.
Wait. Okay, so then when I hear you say that, then the other choice I hear from you is do unto others as they have done unto you.
And
And that means universal reciprocation, which is you reap what you sow. So you come
to an
into my
extent, yeah.
neighborhood, you come to my neighborhood, and you want to attack us, then guess what? We'll
I
go to
don't
your
come to your
neighborhood and
neighborhood
attack
because you're
you.
putting
At some
yourself
point
in
in
my
time,
neighborhood.
at some point in
Wait.
time,
Time out. Time
accountability.
out.
But wait a minute,
Time out.
Judge, you talk about
Time out. I've been black
accountability and
longer in America than
responsibility.
you have. So
Wait a
you're
minute.
talking about my hood. So what happens is you come in with what you're doing. That's your right. It's America. You can have any opinion you want to have. Whether or
Okay.
not it prevails is a different thing. You
Okay.
can look
So
at all
then,
kinds
okay,
of things.
good.
But
So
what I'm
there's
talking
no
about is
reason
look,
why.
look, look.
But then,
What
Judge,
are
there's
you
no
talking
reason
about
why we.
separating into? Where you want to get people, I want to go separate myself out from the 21st century and go associate with somebody whose main advancement in the world is thinking like Tyler Perry or Maxine Waters or Al Sharpton or going out and spending 3 hours in line like a damn fool waiting on a Popeye's chicken sandwich, or
What are you
whose
talking about,
extent
Judge?
of
I'm
knowledge
confused about
is
what you're
the
talking.
NBA scorecard. And that's what I want to associate with. I'm interested in people who know physics, math, technology, engineering, science,
Notorious
all sorts
manumission,
of other
Sway
things.
me.
I want to
What?
talk to people in
Well,
the
well, well,
21st
well.
century,
My
not
my
some
thing. He's not
peasant
allowing me to
that
speak.
came out of some place in Neverland and that can't even manage his own damn affairs. Now,
Well,
why do
well,
I
well.
want to
I'm
hang out with
confused
that?
why you were thinking this.
Why do I want
Please,
to hang out with
please
that?
I'm
I
don't
know
confused.
black
interrupt
people that are
the
very
hosts or the
intelligent.
co-hosts.
Okay, well, he didn't let me
Let's have a
finish.
dialogue. You went on for a long time. You need to have a dialogue.
Yeah, I agree. The point is, ma'am, you're giving us a pipe dream. If you took the average black person who's got a good job, got trying to make a family together, they don't want that isolation down in the hood with all of the foolishness going on.
What hood are you talking about? Because every black
The
person
same
doesn't live
one
in
that
the
I
hood,
go
Judge
deal
Joe
with
Brown.
every damn time I go
I
to a
do want to
gas
dialogue
station,
with
a
you if you allow
grocery
me to
store,
speak
find
too.
out all of the restaurants are closing down. Everywhere else has gone to hell around here, and the crime is rampant. I live in a place that's the murder capital of the United States and the 10th most violent city in the whole world. And it is
How
75%
much
black, and
mental
everything's
health do
run
you
by black
implement,
folks.
Judge Joe
Well, do
Brown?
I
How much?
want to live in a
May
place
I ask
like
you
that and talk
how
about
much are you
isolation?
Wait,
No,
involved?
I
stop,
want to fix
guys.
it.
Let
I
it.
want to
Let him
fix it.
talk, and then sway me. You're gonna
I
talk.
want to
So
fix
just
it.
let people finish what they're saying.
Well, you've been talking for the longest. Now go ahead and make your point. But the thing is, that's where you want to live and separate out, and that's the good times you want to get into. This is what I want, this pestilence, this rat hole crap where everything's gone to hell and your preachers are trying to pimp you. The people that are supposed to be running your government are trying to hustle you. What is going on here? That's what you're talking about? What do you think's going to happen? We get a whole new crop of Negroes or something that come in where we can miraculously find them? Where
Well,
are you going to
are
find
you going to
people?
allow me to respond? Because what
Well,
I think.
please get to the point. You've been
Okay,
telling
I
me
will get
some
to the
kind of
point. I think you're
fantasy
very
that I've listened
negative.
to for a
You're
long
very
while, and it
negative.
doesn't work. Now, go ahead.
I think your perspective right now is very negative. I
Of course,
think
it's negative.
of course, but mine isn't. Mine isn't.
What do you call it?
Wait,
What are
Judge, you
you
gotta
asking
let her,
us to
Judge, let her
adopt?
talk. Judge, let her talk.
um my perspective is there's some things within our community that we need to handle and take care of for ourselves. And at this point in time, a part of that is us separating so we can heal. Because still integrating with others at this point in time, we don't have spaces of healing. We are being attacked, right? And then when I speak of these communities that existed way before, that would destroyed because we were doing our own thing and taking accountability and responsibility. I'm speaking about 43 million individuals. I don't know what numbers you all keep talking about. The majority of Black Americans are not out here in crime. I am one of them. I'm a Black American woman, fell for the fucking American dream and still ain't got shit from it, right? Worked in corporate America. 9/11 happened. I lost my pension. I've been working since I'm 16 years old. Who are you
How old are
talking
you?
to? So these individuals you're talking about is just a minute part of our population that you're now out here saying that's all we know how to do. And I am a very well educated. My daughter is very well educated. I got grandchildren. So this belief that this propaganda, this is the problem I'm having. That
So
this is
who do you want
everything
to
is
turn it
negative
over to?
about
Who do
us.
you want to turn it
Everything is
over to
negative.
run it? Who do you want to run it? Who do you want to run it?
It would be individuals, judge, that are
Humans
selected. That
don't work that way.
every government is we are the people. Aren't there people right now in the government that you elected?
There are a few
They're not just
governments
one
around the
group, right?
planet that have
Yeah.
we the people, and we happen to be the preeminent one. People don't go out and involve themselves in these things. That's why you have Indian chiefs. That's how you have corporate executives. That's why you have presidents, governors, mayors, judges, all of the rest of this folk that run stuff, because most people don't want to be bothered. Now, who's going to run it?
Our people, us, freely.
And
That's
who
who's
in
gonna run
our
it.
us is going to be it, and why haven't they come to the fore right now? You got AOC, that idiot. You've got Crockett with her coonskin head cap. Okay, you've got head scratching, what's her name? Kanye Jackson So who are you going to have running the stuff?
None of those that you're mentioning right now.
How
Okay,
about
None of
fine.
those.
vaccine
All
None
right.
of
monitors?
those.
You've got who's going to run it? You
So are
keep
you
talking
asking?
about we're going to separate out and somebody's going to make it together. Who? And by the way, why do you presume that black folk are so weak that they can't do what anybody else is? You bring somebody in painted just like us, looks just like us. If you sit them down and they aren't saying anything, nobody can tell the difference. They walk in and everything's all right in a couple of decades, and we've been here, and all of a sudden we're too weak to get it together. What are you saying about us?
Judge,
Oh,
how did you do it with
I'm
all this
saying,
adversity? How did you overcome this? Were you like a
Hell, I
superhuman?
took it as adversity, as an
wait a minute.
opportunity to
I just
achieve.
gave you Judge Joe Brown. I told you a
Adversity
scholar.
is an
I just
opportunity
told
to
you.
achieve and to accomplish. It's a war you can win. It's a contest you can win. It is a chance to distinguish yourself. It is not a chance to say, oh, woe is me. It is a chance to say, I can do it.
I've done it.
And I'm
I don't know what
thankful
you're
for the
talking about.
chance.
We're not reaping our rewards for what we do, though.
What
You know, everybody
reward
else
Who's
are you
gets the
we?
looking
But
for?
who is
reward.
we,
I got
Sway?
friends that
Who is
want to
we?
spend all damn day long
When you look at
watching a
affirmative
sports
action,
event.
Peter, that's the
Say,
we. I'm
man, get
talking
out
about
and get
white women. I'm
involved.
talking
Man,
about
I want to watch the game,
minorities,
man. Check it
immigrants.
out, man. Who cares, fool? That isn't doing you any good.
It doesn't do us any good. You're correct, because that's our wealth being plundered and it's ours. It's not anybody else's.
And
We
I'm
But
we
it's
looking
we
at
deserve to
people.
live a good
You
life
got to
too
go
in this
look at
world.
Tyler
We've
Perry. Why should
contributed
I
so
watch that
much.
film? Go look at Oprah. Why? It is
I gave you
self-defeating.
Dr. Claude Anderson, and
I
that's
know
the
him
public
personally.
policy
I've talked
that
to
we're
him.
working on
I
right now,
don't buy,
Judge
he's
Joe
a
Brown.
wise man, but I don't buy everything he sells. All right.
I don't buy everything anybody else says
I
either,
know
but I
that.
know
And I
he
don't
did the
buy
work.
anybody isolating themselves as getting anywhere because
Everybody's already isolating
you're
themselves,
not
Judge.
isolated.
You got
You
Muslims
can't get
coming here building
isolated.
whole
You
compounds. So
can't
stop it,
walk out of
Judge.
your apartment, your home. You can't
These
go to
people
the
got
gas
enclaves
station,
in
gas. You
industries,
can't go buy the
and they hire
groceries.
only their
You
own.
can't work unless you interact with other people.
Oh, you
Humanity
got to
is
speak
like that.
Spanish for a
What?
job in Florida. So these people already
So
So
let
have the
me
what?
cause
contract.
Take it
let me
over.
interject. Can I interject a little bit here?
Take it over.
Because it's like we're talking in circles a little bit. Because Judge, you're asking her for specifics, and Sway Me is giving you how I'm taking it, generalizing. It's specific, but it's generalized. She's not saying, well, this is our step by step plan. However, separating in 2025, um, for example, Asians, Chinese, or Koreans, because they break off in their own groups, they separate, but they still integrate. They know how to assimilate, but they separate when it comes to community, economic, day-to-day functions. They separate when it comes to public policies on a local, state, and to a certain degree federal level. But they also integrate when it comes to voting for presidency, voting, and they may separate again if they're putting their money together and voting for someone with their with their means in mind, so with their likeness, putting them in the office. So you could separate, but you still have to integrate. It has to be a mixture of two. That is how other groups progress ahead of Black
But that's why
Americans.
I mentioned Dr. Claude. If you're
Wait, well, let me
aware of Dr.
finish. Let
Claude,
me
okay.
finish. Let me finish. So you cannot completely separate and expect to have success if you're not disciplined and if the majority is not willing to do that. And it's unrealistic. That is unrealistic. I don't know what's going on in a black area in Detroit or Chicago. I do, but I don't live there. I need to focus on where I'm at. And where I'm at, there are certain public policies that needs to be implemented, presented, and passed. There's certain things that in a community on a grassroots organizational level that needs to be addressed that are not, and that should be Black America's focus where you live at, because 9 times out of 10 we are living amongst each other in the same community, so we are already separated.
So we don't have to say, well, it's time to integrate. We are already, it's time to separate, because we are already separated where we live at. So why are we still living in these conditions? And being that we are in these conditions, what do we have to do to get out of it? And this is my own personal example, or my own personal solutions. One of them is to invest in the youth. You cannot rebuild a broken man, but you can rebuild a child into a man, a boy into a man, and a girl into a woman. And if we are not investing in 10-year-olds and younger and preparing them, because that's only 10 years from 10 that they're 20, and if we are not investing in their education and their future and making sure it's productive, then we will no longer have a Black American race. We will always stay at the bottom. So again, I understand what Sway Me is saying. And I do agree on certain aspects of it. But I also know where the judge is coming from when you talk about reality. There's no more separate but equal. That's out the door. But you can practice, what do they call it, group economics, where you live at. And that's a discussion, and that's a discussion that is not being had in Black spaces. It's not, because everybody's worried about what other people are doing. But go ahead, Sway Me. I want you to finish up and land, and I need to go to the next speaker.
Yeah, I don't expect people to take what I'm saying as serious, but it is something that we, as freedmen, need to consider, because we've already been doing some integration for 60 years, and you can go and look at disparity studies. You can go and look at what is happening to our neighborhoods, who's been displaced, the Americans and patriots of this land, of this country. So I own that, Judge Joe Brown. And I think that we should own it and own this part of our piece of America that we built, that is ours, equity in our country. So, and we can definitely do some things that we want to do if we all want to do that, right? Be on the same accord and really affect some change. That's where I'm at. Because this pattern is crazy. It's abnormal. I land.
Thank you, Sway Me. Appreciate you. Kevin Black. So I have Kevin Black. Liberty of Liberty is still up here. The Wilson, ODB, Roderick, L Hotep, Bruce. If y'all guys are still there, that's the order. And then I do see people requesting Global, Indy, and Ricky. So I'll get to you in a minute when we clear some
And try to
spaces.
remember your order so that you remember who's you're directly after.
Yeah. So go ahead, Kevin.
Hi,
Is he still here?
hi,
Yes.
Joe Brown. I used to watch your television show a while back, and I watched it for many years. And I just want to speak of this thing that Dana just said about you cannot rebuild broken men. Uh, is the justice system having any success? Have you seen success in the justice system or prison rebuilding these so-called broken men? Because
Yes.
okay, can
In
you
a 10-year period, they did a study in Tennessee. The statewide recidivism rate started off at 84%. That means 84% of convicted felons would be back again. In
uh-huh.
my courtroom over 10 years, it dropped down to just 18% by the time I retired. And there were some things that you have to do. You have to make them men and women, and you have to give them a cause and a purpose for existing, and you have to show them that adversity is an opportunity to achieve, so that they look at themselves in a personal and a collective war against circumstances that they can do something about. So it's like anytime somebody is part of being a military unit, a soldier, who has a cause, who is a patriot, they're willing to suffer great hardship to accomplish their ends. When a person has no perception that there is a purpose for their existence, then everything goes to hell, quite literally. So you get them focused on the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror as being somebody that can be bettered. And if they die, they become heroes and sheroes to a cause, and they will do a great deal to help things out and in the process turn themselves around.
Okay,
Now,
Judge.
that's how it works.
Okay, so with when you said 84% recidivist rates, so when we see rates like that, you know, throughout the country, if we see rates like that, so it is easy for people to write off men and say that there's no hope, right? When we see those types of rates, right?
The problem, just one couple of more words, is that when you use the word man, M-A-N, or men, plural, you're actually talking about a category that is an accomplishment oriented category. You just don't get to be a man or become men because you age. That is a misunderstanding of the phenomenon. It requires qualification and performance. And a lot of what we are calling men are essentially failures. They have not been raised appropriately and they have not been motivated to move on beyond the lack that they suffered growing up wherever they grew up. So you have to motivate them to acquire what is necessary to be about something. It's like you have friends who play basketball and you want to go get out there and play basketball, or at the high end, they play golf and you want to be able to keep up with them with golf. There are certain things you have to do either. And if you want to be a man, if you want to get your act together, if you want to improve your community, you have to put just as much, if not 3 or 4 times more effort into doing that than you do to be able to shoot free throws or get a good golf game going. But we aren't willing to do that because we've been propagandized otherwise. And everybody that holds themselves out as a leader is not that. Many of them are misguided, and they're just like pimp preachers from pimp pulpits who try to exploit the weakness of the people that they're supposed to be motivating to do better. Now, we can stop that, but it's costly because it means we have to give some stuff up. We've got to go make some sacrifices. We've got to go be willing to die for the cause. Give me liberty or give me death. I regret that I have but one life to give for my country, etc., etc. These are realities. Dying for your buddy in the foxhole next to you is a reality that we don't get half the time. And if we do something, it looks peculiarly like suicide, either by drugs, suicide by cop, or by neighbor, or just take my own self out because I don't like me. And we have to do better. It's a task, and nothing comes easy, but we've been conditioned to feel we are entitled to everything coming our way. And when somebody said, I just beat your behind, what you gonna do about it? We go, Mommy, 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 come protect me. You grow up and mama can't protect you after a while.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Um, the Wilson.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Hello to everybody. Um, first I just want to say, big shout out to Judge Joe Brown, tremendous fan. Okay, very big fan. Um, I wanted to touch on Dana's topic about the broken men thing really quick. Not to sideline Judge Joe's defining of a man. I think that's absolutely relevant. I just think it kind of undermines the humanity a little bit, in the sense of, listen, I grew up in South Central LA. I grew up as a former foster kid, and I've been homeless through a big part of my 20s. And growing up in the streets, I've constantly come across my brothers in the neighborhood that, fell off the deep end one way or another, where they could have actually been helped. So I just think that there's something to be said about, our society, being able to meet people where they're at. You know what I'm saying? And abandon this mindset that, once a person is damaged, there's no hope for them. I just think that that's kind of a shallow perception, when we talk about, human welfare. you know.
Well, can I just push back a little bit because
Yeah.
I was I was actually quoting. Mute up for a second. It's a little bit of feedback.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I was quoting Frederick Douglass, and this is the actual quote. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And he was highlighting the importance of early childhood development because children are the future. So I was that's the point that I was making. And I'm sorry if grown adults take it offensive. That's just too bad because when you are an adult and you know your life isn't going right or you know some things about you that you need to fix, it is your responsibility to fix it. It is not my
Right.
job to try to meet you where you're at. It is your job to elevate yourself to be the best person you can be to be productive in society. And whatever you have to do or however that may look like, so be it. But it's not my job to guide you. You have to take the initiative to whereas a child you have to build strong children so that we will have less unproductive people as adults. So I was quoting
Okay.
Frederick Douglass.
Okay, so first and foremost, you know, I absolutely challenge that statement by Frederick Douglass. I think it was wrong. Um, I think that you said as children, you know, we have to build, you know, you basically spoke as children, but then you made an inference as a parent. Okay, I don't think
No,
that,
I did not
you
say
know,
as children. I said he emphasized the importance of early childhood development.
right,
So
which is
that's
the
for the
parent's responsibility,
parents.
right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when you say, you know, it's not my job to repair a broken man, of course it's not your job. No, nobody is saying it's your job, right? But when we're talking about, you know, bringing together, you know, organizations and efforts and things of the like to, you know, in regards to human welfare in general, right? It's just kind of, I would say either, you know, counterintuitive or you know, just a little shallow, you know what I mean, to have this event. See, my thought process is, you know, I like the idea of making a difference when it counts. You know, I have a free slave mentality, right? So, you know, growing up, when mama said, you know, pick that thing up off the floor, you know, it never mattered whether I was the one who put it there. You know, I always took it as, you know, an elder told me to do something, I'm gonna do what I was told. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't have, you know, intellectual sovereignty. I'm just saying, you know, when we talk about, and this is the underline, because I don't want to drag it out, but my point is this, you know, we're humans. So what could possibly be more important than human welfare, right? When we talk about, you know, efforts to make our society and our community better.
Are you asking a question or was that a
May
statement?
I
No, I
add a
was just saying
little?
that was my
Oh,
bottom line,
I
basically.
oh.
think you
I was
made a
gonna say.
profound comment there, but let me give you a perspective on it.
Okay.
We individually are not here for very long when it comes to time, but as a species, we've been here a long time. And it's one generation after the other. And what you are alluding to is it's the obligation of the current generation to prepare and raise or generate the next generations and the generations that follow.
Right.
That's our obligation. That's the way Mother Nature works. And when we get away from that, we get away from our reality. Life is not fair, but we fight it. There's an interesting thing that people tend to ignore when they get to talking about things like DNA. When they analyze human DNA, it becomes rather obvious that somewhere in our immediate existence, that humanity dropped down to about 2,000 breeding couples in the whole world. And that was almost a disaster. We almost went extinct, but we survived that. And now we run the place, so to speak. So we can recover. And I'll say something else too. It has been my business for 50 years, more actually, to fix broken people. That's what I did to earn a living. That's how I paid the rent.
Right.
So it can be done. But the
Right. And
point
I just want
is,
to, you know, what?
it takes
I'm
effort.
sorry.
See,
Hold
Right.
on for a second. Wait, hold on for a second. The Wilson. Was it your job to fix or to issue justice? Because your number one priority as a law of office as a judge is to issue justice. Now, fixing someone, you can't fix someone who don't want to be fixed. And that's what that's what I take from Frederick Douglass as an adult. If you do not want nothing better for yourself, there's no program and there's nothing nobody else could do for you. You have to take that initiative. And that is someone who if you come from trauma, if you come from an unhealthy upbringing, which is it's unfortunate, but that's part of reality. As opposed to when you invest in children, like you said, Judge Echo, when you invest in children, you are investing in your future generations so that you won't have a large population of traumatized adults who cannot function to the highest of their ability. So if a person, and it's a lot of people who just don't want help. So it was your job to issue justice, not rehabilitation to a certain degree.
Well, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Judge, but I would
But
say,
that was for the judge. I don't know what
okay,
happened.
I'm sorry, but
Okay.
I would argue that. Did you want him to go ahead
I
first?
don't even know he heard me because I can't. Is he talking? I don't hear him. Do
Go ahead,
anybody else
Judge,
hear
if you're.
Judge, can you hear us?
him? We can't hear him. Okay, so I thought it was just me. I can't hear him. So I don't know if he even heard me.
So I
Yeah, I
would
don't
just
hear him either.
I would just say that I've been doing a lot of legal research lately with a pending case that I've been dealing with, and based off of the context of everything that I've researched, that ethics is more or less a part of justice. It's a component of justice, right? So where a judge may not be his position to rehabilitate a person, right? They're supposed to ethically, consider um the rehabilitative elements of such, right? Like
I'm
this, like
here.
for
I
example,
just
in
had a little
2015,
problem.
Wait, what
look
happened?
in
We didn't
I
hear
just
you.
2015.
had a little problem. I couldn't talk, but I could hear. Keep going.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Can I continue?
please.
Yeah. So like for example, in 2015, a judge was about to send me to prison because I had an emotion and so forth, and it resulted in vandalism, right? And so when I got to the courtroom, the judge said, "Hey, I don't know you from Adam. Just looking on the record right here, I'm liable to just give you 3 years in prison right now." It served as a complete wake-up call. The next court hearing, when the judge realized that my clinical therapist showed up, I had a lot of support that showed up in official capacities. He recognized that it wasn't a criminal issue, it was a mental health issue, right? And so he took the initiative in reducing the felony to the misdemeanor, allowing me to be released on OR in time to not lose my Section 8 apartment at the time. So I just say all that to say that yes, I think ethics is a component of justice, regarding a judge's
well, let me ask you this, though, Wilson. Let me
overseeing,
ask you
so to
this.
speak.
So with the leniency that that judge gave you, did you take advantage of it to your benefit to help your life to progress in the right direction?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I absolutely did.
So wait,
Okay.
so just wait before
When
you
he told
elaborate, and I do
uh-huh,
want you to elaborate, but before you elaborate, let
uh-huh.
me just say this. And so that's what I'm talking about. You recognize this judge is being lenient, right? Because he's issuing justice, and I think that was the right justice for him to issue. But you took advantage of that to help benefit your life in the right direction. You made a decision as an
Right.
adult. There are people who continue to take advantage of a judge being lenient and still continue to be, whether it's a criminal or just a fuck up or whatever.
Right.
So it
Right.
goes back
And we
to
shouldn't
self. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
yeah, we shouldn't be like, for example, if I'm, you know, denied effective counsel, in a particular case, that's violation of equal protection because most defendants are afforded effective counsel. right? So, one person shouldn't be held to account based off of the, lack of due diligence of other people. So back to what Judge Joe Brown said, as far as us being members of the generation who have to take responsibility for, members of our community who cannot advocate for themselves. It takes people like me, it takes people like you, it takes people like Judge Joe Brown and people who are listening to mobilize and conceptualize and aspire, right, to provide things that bridge the gap for these vulnerable populations, these marginalized people. Because again, all the brothers that lost their lives, whether it be at the hands of police, whether it be gang violence, whether it be domestic violence, okay, there was always, okay, they could have been reached. And I think there's something to be said about the Department of Mental Health not having the counseling and therapeutic aspect, right, where the way that they do the psychiatric aspect. I think it's absolutely inherently prejudicial to the public, right? Because anybody can be charged with a crime, So with that, listen, myself, I take it upon myself, I talk to people, right? I meet people where they're at, even people that I ideologically disagree with. I can still, foster camaraderie and help build their esteem just by understanding that, hey, we're all made in the image of God, so there can't be anything supreme to that, right? If we're made in the image of God, then, and that's with respect to, whatever anybody else believes here, if we are made in the image of God, then, what we do unto each other is what we do unto ourselves. So I don't think that it's cool to settle with this idea that the people who can't advocate for themselves or don't know where to begin to look, right? See, I have businesses that focus on, figuring out how to figure out, right? I happen to be fortunate, right, to be able to do that, right? Some people can't see their own thinking, right? And so because I'm able to do it, that's just why I felt like I had to chime in a little bit, because there is, something that can be done. I reject the idea that, broken men are damaged. And even if they don't want to help themselves, sometimes it takes responsible people like us to help them see that light. And at the end of the day, you're right. If you can lead the horse to the water, you can't make them drink it. But we at least have to, exhaust all those efforts in making sure they
No,
get
we
the help
don't.
they need.
No, we
Yeah,
don't.
jail is
And I will
also
Why
one of
not.
them
not?
I'm
options.
not going to exhaust. One second, Kevin Black. I'm not going to exhaust efforts that needs to be invested in the youth. Because if I sit up here,
Okay. See, no, no.
no, let
See
me
that
finish.
right
Let me
there.
finish. If I
Uh-huh.
sit up here and a lot of people who do get locked up, they deserve to be locked up. They that doesn't and then there and half of those people don't want nothing better because that's they're just programmed and used to living a life of crime or whatever. Everybody that's locked up is not innocent. So going back to my
Yeah,
point is
but what I'm saying.
going back to what I'm saying here is you have to invest in the youth. And if I will say this about Black America, we are so focused as individual thinking. We don't think as a collective, because if you are thinking as a collective, you are thinking as a family. Your number one priority is to create generations that's better and more advanced than you are and highly productive. And that is not being done. And if I need to
Well, yeah,
allocate my resources, if I need to
but
allocate, if I'm
investing.
not finished, if I need to allocate 80% of my resources to the youth, yes, that is fair, to 80% of resources to the youth. The 20% that could go to people who are grown adults and can't advocate for themselves, right? But a child cannot at all advocate for themselves. They need the adults. So again, you as an adult have to make the decision you want to change, and then you have to work at it, and then you have to go
Okay,
make something happen. If you're not doing that and you want someone to constantly hold your hand, or if you keep want to making excuses, or you just want to run out the streets and just be a complete fuck up, that's your problem. I'm here to make sure
I mean,
that children are having the proper investment so that they won't end up like the fuck ups out on the street.
Well, I just want to say that investing in the children does not have to come at the expense of broken adult men.
Well,
Okay,
it does.
so
It does because
no, it
a lot of
doesn't.
broken adult men are making kids and they're not taking care of them because they haven't realized, let me get my
Okay, but
shit
that's a
together.
deeper
Let me
conversation.
get my shit
Okay,
together as
men
a
are just
grown
not
man. No,
simply deciding
stop.
not to
No,
be
no,
there.
please don't talk over me. As a grown man, when you're out, you're a broken grown man making kids, the light bulb didn't go off. Okay, I'm in a fucked up situation, but I made a kid. Let me get my shit together so that my kid won't go through what I went through. See, that's what you need to do as an
Okay.
adult, whether you're broken or not, whether you have mental health issues or not. So at some
Well,
point,
I think you're undermining the
no,
humanity
I'm not
here,
undermining the
right? And I
humanity.
think it kind of exposes you for having a little, like, bias towards men,
I
No.
a
think you
little
don't know
bit.
what
All right.
manhood
So
is.
hold on for a second. We ain't, please,
I don't think you
please
know what
don't
it is
go to,
to be a
please don't
man,
go.
sir. I'm so sorry.
The
I'm
Wilson, you
sorry.
was doing so good. Please don't try to go down that road with me because it's not going to turn out good for you. Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic because something struck a nerve. Something struck a nerve for you to now say I have a bias towards men. I'm talking about all.
You
Wait,
literally just
hold on. I'm talking up. First of all, I'm talking about all adults, women too. The quote from Frederick Douglass, he
all of a
used the
sudden,
word
right?
men. But if you want to be on this passport bro red pill bullshit, now we could go
Hey, yo,
there.
I can take
We
all
could we
challenge.
could we could go there and then I would just have to sit up here and let you know what the deal is. But see, I'm not going there. And if you, sir, if you took everything that I said, if you at the end of it all, if you took and walk away with me being biased towards men, with me being anti-men, then you need some more rehabilitation. Don't come up here and say that I'm biased towards men because number one, I'm not. But for you to take that, something in you is not clicking. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't say you were. I said it came off as you were. Okay, and so yeah, I can be correct. You can correct me. That's fine. Okay, I'm not making definitive statements here. Okay, all I'm saying is I'm simply just challenging you on your position respectfully, and I'm all for the civil discourse, and we can go all the way down to the root. Okay, I don't run from any conversation. I'm a transparent, open book, and there's no topic I'm not willing to discuss outside of evil and horror. Okay, so yeah, I think that your idea that investing in children can come at the expense of men. You didn't mention women at first, but now that you clarified that, it really doesn't make a difference. Whether it be broken men or broken women, I think there's still enough resource and enough ideals within Americans, so to speak, that agencies or organizations can exist to bridge gaps for both. Let's be clear about one thing. For generations, for centuries, decades, okay, children have been fine. Okay, why are y'all so worried about the children as if the children aren't already taken care of? Let me tell you something.
Sir,
Before
you
I was a
sound
foster
crazy
kid,
as F.
well,
I said F.
let me
You
just finish
sound
with this.
crazy.
Let him finish his point. Let
Let
him
me just
finish
finish with
his
this.
point.
I was reunited with my family out of the Pueblo del Rio housing projects in South Central when I was 18. Okay, and when I reunited with them, I told my brother, my big brother from the Nickerson Gardens, I told him, I said, you know what? I want to be a good brother before I'm a good uncle, right? Because he has kids. So I made sure that I was the brother that I needed to be for my big brother before I was an uncle, before I called myself being an uncle to his kids, right? So it's just about understanding that, just because, there's kids doesn't mean that we should abandon our brothers, okay? Which is my point here.
Yeah, but you could do both. You could. So I understand what you're saying.
You can do both, yeah.
But children are the future, right? And
Okay,
if
but that doesn't mean we should throw away everyone else. No one's saying children aren't the future.
yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. But children are educating children who, by and large, are sponges and open books is different than helping somebody who's already gone through life, had the experiences, and chose the path that took them down the road they're at. A child doesn't
That's
have
not
that. Where
necessarily true. because we're all impressionable at every age of being human, not just children, right? Children just don't have the contrast as adults do, but we're all impressionable.
I don't know. I mean, you've been in the streets, like you said. If you're around real criminals and individuals who are part of organized crime, do you think they're
No,
impressionable,
not
Exactly,
or
real
and
do you?
I'm not
criminals,
I'm not
real
impressionable
people.
as
Come
an
Hold
on,
on,
adult.
man.
not criminals,
If you
What?
people.
if you
What?
got through Nickerson Gardens, you got through some rough stuff.
Oh, listen, I was born and raised in foster care. They had me on a whole bunch of psych meds, and listen, there was never anything wrong with me. Okay, I was in foster care. There was just no resources for me to be enrolled in extracurricular activities and so forth, right? And so, but I do want to, touch on the fact that, when Judge Smerling in Pasadena did threaten me with that prison time, okay, I wrote him a letter, and he read that letter, and he said, out of all, inmates have written me plenty of letters over the years, but I have never read one as persuasive as yours. And he told me that, okay? And it completely changed my life. It completely reset the trajectory. It helped me gain control over my emotional dysfunction, right? Just, aging out of the foster care system, dealing with my post-traumatic stress and so forth. And I've managed to develop the coping skills. So I think it's unfair to assert that every man or woman, okay, adult, should be thrown away just because they may be in despair. They may not
Well,
have
okay,
direction.
Wilson, nobody
There's a
said
reason
throw
why we
away.
have
Hold on a
leadership.
Amen,
second.
brother.
Hold on, because you said that several times. Throw away, get rid of. Nobody said that. Because the quote that I read by Frederick Douglass was, it's easier. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. That was
Right.
the quote.
So he said it's
So he did not
so
say,
he said it's
wait,
easier.
stop, slow down. He did not say, or nobody, and I did not say throw away adults. I said, as an adult, it is up to you to make the decision, because it's harder to try to convince. I'm making it plain now. It's harder to try to convince an adult they need to do better, or you could do better. It's harder to convince an adult and to be their cheerleader than it is a child. And the quote from Frederick Douglass, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And men also means women too. So and nobody's not saying throw people away. And first of all, let me just say this. I'm not dismissing your journey in life, nor am I judging you at all. So you took the initiative to do what you have to do to have a very productive, successful life. And I commend you for that. And part of what you're doing, okay, I want to do this for other men and women that were in my situation. Great. I'm not dismissing that. Because what you're doing is actually going to help those adults who are probably parents be better parents, or if they're not parents, to have the tools to be good parents so that they won't raise broken kids. But it still goes back to the investment in the youth. But go ahead, I'll let you have the last word.
Yes. So that's right. And not to be, chippy about it, you know what I mean? Because that was correct what you said. Regarding Frederick Douglass's quote, okay, I think I might have said it was wrong. I can't say it's wrong because he was just saying it was easier, right? So I mean, that can be, construed as his opinion, what have you. But what I'm saying is the intent of that, right? What is actually undermined by that statement, right? Assumes, as far as I understand, that investment comes at the expense of broken men, because that's who he contrasted, right? So again, all I'm saying is, yeah, sure. I'm not arguing that it may be easier to, invest in the children. Absolutely. But I'm just saying it shouldn't come at the expense of, and then just back to Judge Joe's point of, our generation having the responsibility to answer this call to action,
May I interject something very briefly here? When my father was alive, early in his life, Russians had just begun to grip themselves and escape their slavery from the czars. The Chinese were in the same situation in Asia. Now, outside of where we are, the axis of the planet is between Russia and China in the United States. There is something to be said for we the people. There's something to be said for power to the people power in such things, because you can take depressed, stomped on, flattened areas, and if you can get the organizational skill in place and you can get the motivational factors in place, you can change them from abject servitude, slavery, and oppression to mastery of their condition and absolute power. And that's what you have to do. It's like when somebody catches the ball thrown in the air and the touchdown wins the game at the last moment. There is a lot of work that went into being able to have time to throw that pass, to coordinate where that pass went, for the person to be able to catch that pass, and for everybody to do their job as a team member so that the receiver could catch what the quarterback threw to him. That is similar to what happens in the society. But you have to all be motivated to do your damnedest to get there. You cannot do it if you have given up and expect somebody to just lay down so you can win the game. It's not going to happen. You have to whip behind, and the better you get at it, the harder your players are going to have to play in order to beat your opponents, because your opponents keep getting better and tougher, and if you become champion you have to beat everybody. So that's what we have to do. We do not win this contest as a country, as a people, as an ethnic group, as ethnic groups in plurality, by being weak, feeling entitled, and expecting somebody to lay down for us. We have to go out and kick ass. And in order to kick ass, you have to get yourself physically and mentally prepared to do it. Now, that's just the reality of being alive on the planet Earth.
All right.
Hell yeah.
I want to go to so it's ODB, Roderick, El Hotep, Bruce, Global Network, Indy, Ricky. If any of these people are still up here, that's the order. So ODB.
What about me?
Then I'll swing back to you, but I need to get to
Okay.
the speakers. ODB.
All right, Dana, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. So shout out to the host and co-host. You know what I mean? Let me speak. This says Trump says fuck you to Israel and Iran. Carmelo Anthony murder trial. So me as a veteran, I don't think we should be fighting any proxy wars for Israel or Palestine on either side. So if they don't want to abide by the ceasefire, then it's definitely then fuck you. So now we're gonna get to the latter part of the conversation where we're talking about Carmelo Anthony. So a term that I want to introduce to everybody, and before I do this, I always give everybody their flowers. Shout out Sway Me, you know what I mean, playing some Dr. Claude Anderson, allowed me to go over, I think it was Powernomics or either it was Black Labor, White Wealth, you know what I mean, to be able to go over some terms that my grandfather had to get reintroduced to some stuff. So the term I'm going to introduce is meritorious manumission. So this is referring to freeing of a slave from the owner for exceptional service or contributions by said slave. You know what I mean? I think we have a problem, and more than we have a problem, with like our youth or our culture. It starts with this older generation of people that participate in this slave catcher culture. They will continually punch down on Black Americans. They will continually talk down on Black Americans, like we heard with Judge Joe Brown in his submission. He doesn't see any reason why this young 150-pound man should protect himself from two degenerate teens that meant him nothing but harm. You know what I mean? I live in Houston, Texas. Carrying a pocket knife is very much in the culture. You know what I mean? I don't mourn those kids' deaths due to the fact that two twin teenagers You know what I mean? Two 10 twin teenagers weighing about 195 pounds tried to jump on a 150-pound young man. You know what I mean? We don't know the level of bodily injury. We don't know anything that he could have sustained during that time. You know what I mean? So this brings us to the point of like, why are we here? So Judge Joe Brown, Dana, they had their day in the sun doing what they wanted to do. And we see the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, are the people that rose to the creme of the creme, not these people. You know what I mean? They never. What was your mass contribution to Black America more than being figureheads?
Well,
Let's
let's
be
put
real.
it this way.
Can I
Hey,
finish my?
son.
I'll
Oh,
let
I
you
didn't
finish. Go ahead.
realize you weren't finished. Keep going. But my
Yeah, so
go
the
ahead.
term I want to enter, and again, this is the term I'm introducing: meritorious manumission. These people that act as figureheads will continually punch down for the white media, for proxy, for white culture. You've heard nothing about the upliftment because they don't have their ears to the grassroots. And I'm not gonna be the person in the room to tell them what the grassroots groups of people are doing because I'm in the rooms with Sway Me, I'm in the rooms with the Mark Carters, I'm in the rooms with these organizers for the past 3 years that have made substantial changes, but I don't see these people's faces anywhere around us when we're over here trying to do the thing, quote unquote, delineate or disaggregate numbers, you know what I mean, for the betterment, just to be able to count some of the statistics that will better affect our community or even more more specific, our ethnic group, you know what I mean? So what these people are doing is participating in anti-Black American ethnocism. They're trying to turn us into caricatures,
What does
find
that
reasons
mean, son? What does that
You
mean?
talk, hey, you
what
talking
ethno
about George Brown and
oh
Diamond?
do you want to know what ethnocide is?
Tell us what that means.
So ethnocide is when you try to erase a specific ethnicity's culture.
What is the
So
culture being erased or
so
attempted to be erased?
the culture that you're attempting to be
Yes.
erased is
What
Black
is it?
culture. Black American
What do you
culture.
call Black American culture?
Black American culture is by the definition of I think it's the 1524 Webster definition, the copper colored people that originally inhabited
What do you mean
America.
copper colored
And
people? Are you talking about
the copper,
Amarins? Are
I'm
you
copper
talking about
color, you're
something
copper color, so copper comes in multiple different colors. And then we could quote, if you let me quote, we could quote Chief Gentle of the Yamasee right now, who is currently going through a court case going on the position of the Negro Creeks, that all of the Creeks were Negroes. In order to be Creek, you would need to be a
Oh,
Negro.
come off that.
Okay.
You're talking
So
about
now,
one of the
so
five
y'all don't like
civilized tribes.
well-spoken,
Go ahead.
y'all
What
don't
is
like
it?
well-spoken brothers, but I definitely can break it down because it
You're not.
seems like
Break it
you
down.
you
Break it down.
enjoy having Peter, you enjoy having
Break
people
it
like
down.
Peter,
Break it
huh?
down. Go ahead.
I'm
I'm
breaking it
listening.
down. I just simply broke it down. You can look at the court case with the chief of the Yamasee, Chief Sekou Gentle.
Break it down. Quit the names and tell us what it means.
I
You
just
didn't
told
tell
you.
us what it means.
Oh,
You
you talk.
used
I
some
just told you what
labels.
ethnocide.
You use
Ethnocide is an
labels. What does that
erasure of
mean?
a specific
Look,
ethnic
you're
group's.
falling into a trap. Tell us
I'm
what
not.
it means. Don't use the labels.
Are you talking about what ethnocide means?
All of that. Tell us what it means rather than
What
the label.
ethnocide is an erasure of a specific ethnic group's culture
Okay, what is the culture being
and presence in
erased?
history
What is the
and
culture
presence in
being
history.
erased?
I just told you. I mean,
Okay,
we
let's
don't have to
start
have a
fundamentally.
we don't
What is the
we don't have to
okay?
have a
Let's
circular
start with the
argument here.
fundamental thing. What is the religion being erased that the black folk involved have a culture? Everybody generally has a culture where you can come to some
So
origin
do you want me to get straight to it? Why
religion.
I think you are erasing Black culture?
No, no, I'm not erasing it. I'm just saying, what is black culture?
Black culture Black culture in a big way is American culture because the culture that is most.
Exactly. So, what did we bring to the mix?
What did we? We brought
What?
everything to. We
Name
brought
What?
five
so
characteristics. Five
okay.
characteristics.
What? Yeah, name
Open up the
something. Yeah,
So
history
that's
we
good.
book.
brought
Go ahead.
all of the hard and technical skills that come with America. So all of your skilled trades and laborsmen were Black that built this country. So that's one thing. Ingenuity.
Well, why
As
don't
far
you
as like
call it the horses did it or the
the horses,
oxen did it?
see, and this is what I'm talking about. This is why you're participating in ethnocide.
Intellectual
Because
property.
no, hold on, Judge Brown. Let me tell you, this is why you're participating in ethnocide. Because Black people are
What the
not
hell is
Black
ethnocide?
Americans were
No,
not
What
because
the
they
hell
tools
is
got
used.
more time
ethnocide?
themselves.
Black
What?
Americans were not.
Hold on 1 second, ODP. Hold on. I think everybody, please stay on your mic.
Yeah, stay on your
ODB
mic.
and the
Just
judge.
it's a dialogue between Judge and ODB, and then
Yes.
you guys could talk after they're done.
Thank you. What do
So
you call that? See, I distinguish between people who have loud mouths like Jasmine Crockett or Maxine Waters, and people who were actually out there patrolling South Central Los Angeles in 1965, 6, 7, and 8, trying to keep peace between the police and the community with itself. I make a big distinction with people who got put in the grave because they took the stand. I make a big distinction between all of the people who decided that, okay, it's 1886 and somebody got lynched. So they went out and took vengeance to keep peace in the community, the farming community, by lynching back. I make a distinction between those and those that have big mouths and talk about nice little phrases. What do you mean by the phrases? You talk about black culture. Where
Are you
is
gonna
the
let me
black
finish? Because you should.
religion in
It
this
seems
thing?
like you. It
Wait a
seemed like
minute.
you're just
Hold
trying.
on.
He
Hold
Okay,
come
go
on,
on.
you're
ahead.
gonna you're
Hold
gonna
on.
spawn
Hold on.
ODB. Just hold on.
Who is Dambala? Who is a Kotier and who is a Goonbi? Since I know you don't know, those are the three chief ancestral gods from West Africa. You can juxtapose those into a mix with Odin, Thor, Osiris. You can deal with Jupiter. You can deal with Zeus. You can put all of these people in there. But you see, black people don't know who Akotie, Agunbi, and Akinwale are because we don't bring that to the cultural mix. You don't bring your original religion into it. You don't have a cultural base. You have Jehovah, you've got all kinds of other things, but where is the black input? And I know people say this, that, and the other, but it's an adopted religion. We don't even know what the original religion is. What you're sitting here when somebody called you to the count and said, name 5 characteristics, those are just human characteristics. Those are universal with humanity. What did we bring to the mix? And when I brought in, talk about horses and oxen, you see, it's one thing if you engineer the process, if you plan the process, if you see to it that's carrying it out. And it's another one when somebody is putting you to labor like you are a domestic animal. It's a whole different thing. And it's not that it's unique to us because just about every ethnic group in the whole world has had some experience with enslavement. They transcend it and get away from it. You see, you take Spartacus, he freaked the Roman Empire out or the Roman Republic out when he led a slave revolt. He beat Roman legions. But you see, where is our experience? You know, they name places and trains after American Indians, but what did they name after black folk other than Martin Luther King Boulevard and Booker T. Washington High School? And why is that? See, you have to examine these things. We get people who look like us who've been here 8, 9, 10 years, and they're filthy rich because they've learned to work the system, but we've been here for generations and we're still whining about what they owe us. What's the difference? There is a profound difference. It's outlook. It's like I go out with a
All right,
guy
so you
hunting
want to
and he's never
let him
been out
Are
in
you
respond,
the
cool?
Judge?
I
open
gotta
field.
get.
And
Wait,
I say there's been a big buck about 180 pounds been through here about 2.5 hours ago. There are 2 little guys who are about 150 pounds who came through here sniffing up under some does that won't give him any. There's been 2 fawns through here in 6 uh, doe that have come in here. So we've got about 11 deer that came through here. Right over there, you ought to be able to look on that tree and you'll see some scrape signs. So if we go downwind over this way, we will be able to, in a couple of hours, probably see some, and it might be worth shooting one of them because they'll taste good, and you can put them in the freezer. They're looking at. How do you know that? Because
let him
So
I
so
see.
respond.
can I can
Let
I
him
can I say
respond.
this? Like, for one, you're talking to a person whose grandfather's name was Nimrod, brother. And if you, I don't subscribe to none of the African stuff you're talking about, but I'm a great gamesman. So I'm from Columbus, Ohio, lived in Coshocton, Ohio, where we had the bigger white-tailed deer than y'all ever had. So you don't need to talk to me about like
Well, I've hunted some
pres-
pretty big
preservation.
white-tailed
Can
deer
I
and
talk?
some
Excuse me, Judge. I'm
black-tailed
trying to
and mule
respect you
deer.
as an elder, but also relay my point. So don't like we right there is one point of me saying these are part of Black culture that has been preserved in a big part of all the United States of America. Everybody got country cousins. Your outlook on everything simply comes from Dr. Claude
It
Anderson,
doesn't come
words
from
that he
Claude
coined.
Anderson. He and I are the same age.
Can I talk? He
Well,
coined
quit.
it,
I
brother.
told
Do you
you
know
I
what
know the
coined is?
man.
Do you know
I
what
don't
coined
abide
is?
by
Do you
all
know
of
what
what he
coined is,
says.
Judge? You are far too
He's not
intelligent to be
he
interrupting me
is
because
an
you don't
educated
because you have a
man, but
problem
I
with me
don't
saying
buy a
Dr.
lot of
Claude
what he
Anderson
says.
coined something that he wrote chapters upon
I
chapters
Wait,
know
hold
on in
on,
that,
this
hold
but
on.
he
book.
wrote
Wait,
chapters after
hold on,
chapters,
hold
decades
on, hold
after I
on.
discovered it, like
ODB,
he
did
did.
you just wait? You said that the judge said something that Dr. Claude said. So you
No, I did. That's not what I said.
what did you say then?
I said he's way too intelligent to interrupt me because I said that Dr. Claude Anderson coined a word, and he said that I said Dr. Claude Anderson didn't invent the word. He knows what coined is, and he's being obtuse.
Oh, come
Okay,
off
so
You
of
know
it.
what coined is.
go ahead
You
and
know if
finish your
somebody
state.
coined a
Come
word, they didn't
off
make it.
of
And I'm
it.
not even up here to argue straw man
Come
arguments
off
with
of
you all
it.
day. I'm really
Dr.
not up
Claude
here to
So,
argue
all right,
Anderson
straw
is a
man
smart
arguments
ODB.
with
man,
Oh,
and he
any.
wait,
I'm
hold
displays
on
just
for a
here to
second,
relay a
Judge.
simple
intelligence. All
point
right.
that you can
ODB.
listen to.
Wait, ODB. Get off the coin thing and just make your point. Just
You're
go ahead. Go
using
ahead.
phrases.
And Judge,
Go ahead.
stop being so obtuse. You know you're being obtuse now.
No, just
I know what the
I
word
want him to
means.
talk. No, stop. Just go ahead, ODB. Just finish what you were saying.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna just make my point simple because I see that we have people that like to entertain, for lack of a better word, crackers. So at the end of the day, uh,
Nobody's trying to entertain crackers. And by the way,
oh,
the
here
point
we
of the
go.
exercise is if you're talking about standing up to somebody, I've never
I've
backed
been,
down
hey,
from anybody.
I don't care if I'm
No,
here to,
you
hey, I'm
claim
here to
you make
educate you
that
that
personal
you
claim
older
yourself.
generation of
And
people
the
are
bottom
becoming
line is
obsolete.
don't talk
So
about
we
the
we
generation
could do
because
this all
yours
day,
hasn't
Judge Joe
been
Brown.
done
If
through
you're a
what mine
millionaire,
went through. And mine
where's
didn't
your
go through
Frederick
what the
Douglass
ones
vocational
before went
school?
through.
Since you like to repair people, where's your vocational school building on the back
Stop
of people
pocket
like Wilson?
watching, nigga.
So
What the hell
let's
are you
not do
talking
this and have
about?
these obtuse,
You
stupid
can walk
arguments.
anywhere with me in this
These
city and
stupid
you'll run into
arguments.
people
Let's
that
not
are
have these
walking up
stupid
in
arguments
gratitude saying
all
thank you
because you
for
want
what
to.
you did.
Man, I'm gonna
There
just
are a
make it
lot of
simple,
people
bro.
like
I'm
that.
gonna just
That's the
make it
way
simple for you.
humanity is.
I'm gonna make it very
That's
simple
the
for
way
you. I'm gonna make it
humanity
very
is.
simple for
If
you.
you have
Niggers
not
like
done
you,
anything,
doing too
don't
fucking
talk
much.
about it.
Y'all are a problem for the new generation of Black people
You
that are
ain't
moving
doing
forward and
shit.
building on the backs
You
of our
are
ancestors with
lazy.
relevant
You're
information. You
uneducated.
old ass,
You're
coon ass nigga.
unsophisticated.
How dare
You're weak.
Wait, hold on
You're
for a second.
scared.
Hold on
You're
for a second,
cowardly.
ODB. Hold on,
You
hold on.
run from shit.
So,
You told me that this boy was justified, and instead of being a man and punching it out, even if he got his
Why the
ass
fuck would
whooped,
you let two
he
people
should put a
jump on you
knife
and
in
damn near
somebody's
almost
chest.
kill you?
That
Do you
is
know what
so
happens when two
unmanly and punked out.
men can fucking jump
I
down on a.
wanted to
wait, hold
throw up
on.
when I
Don't
heard
use
it,
the F
son.
word,
It's
ODB. Don't use the
unmanly.
F word.
It's
You're not even speaking,
unmanly.
and to my
It's
you
unmanly
won't
that
even
you
speak on
even
the
spoke
situation with
those words.
if me and my
It is
brothers,
a punk play.
if me and
And
my
it
brothers jumped,
sickens me to hear
if me and
young
my brothers
black
jumped on your
males
old ass
talk
right
in
now,
such
you
an
would want to fucking.
unmanly fashion.
All right. Look,
Now,
hold
you
on
talk
for a
that,
second, Judge.
you want to
Hold on.
say he had a justification for putting a knife in somebody's chest because somebody was 195 pounds and there were two twins. He should have took the ass whipping and come back and whooped them each one at a time. But he punked out, did some unmanly stuff, typical of the emasculation that's being spread through this country, and put a knife in somebody's chest. If that isn't a punk move, I don't know what is.
All right, so hold on. Let me reset something for a second. Because what we're not going to do, ODB, I said that I don't want no one using the F word at all. And you're not going to sit up here and call someone the names or even try to physically so-called threaten someone. I don't tolerate in a space. And the judge don't give a shit. I do. So
I
that's
sure as
number
hell
that
don't.
I know you don't, but I do. But when so listen, you could disagree with him, you could push back, land your plane, state your case, but you need to compose yourself because you're going up the yellow brick road
Yeah, that
on
was
some
disrespectful.
you're going up the yellow you're going going up a yellow brick road on some bullshit. And then also the cursing, whooping somebody ass, that's, I don't know, that is not going to be tolerated here. And so the question, because the question I was trying to ask when you made a statement saying that it's their generation, the older generation, that makes it harder for the younger generation, our generation, I disagree with you,
Well,
because
you're not in my generation. I'm 30
his
years
what,
old. So you're
how
not.
old are you, how old are you?
I'm 30. I'm born in 94. You're not in my
Okay,
generation.
so you're in my child's generation, because my daughter is 31 and my son is
Yeah,
26. So
y'all have a
I'm
dissolution
just,
with youth.
hold on. You're on mute. It's just give it some time. Hold on. Because you are, I believe you are Gen Z, Gen X. Not Gen X, Gen Z and
He's Gen
millennial.
Z. Yep.
He's Gen Z, yeah. So let me just put you in your place, because y'all are too emotional. You don't know how to control your emotions, because you just displayed that. So he is, the judge is damn me almost 2 generations older than me. He's a baby boomer and I'm Gen X. And older generations don't stop me for doing shit. We damn sure ain't stopping you young generations from doing stuff. Because I will say this about Gen Z, they are taking advantage of social media and making something out of it. So nobody doesn't stop you from doing stuff. You have an opportunity to go out here and make it happen. So don't give me that your generation stopped us. That's that victim bullshit. So that's what I'm trying to say, but you just kept babbling. And I thought you were, because at first you sound like you were much mature and older. I didn't know you was 30, 31, but yeah, you need to compose yourself when you trying to convey something to somebody.
Okay, so you guys continually mute everybody on stage, and at the end
No,
of it,
I muted you
oh
because I
my,
wanted you to
what
hold
about
on,
your
hold on.
composure?
I muted you. This is what I do. I muted you because I wanted you to shut the fuck up so I could talk. That's why. So I like to reset. And when I unmute, you will have the floor. And if you want to use your time to criticize me or criticize the judge on some bullshit that has nothing to do with the point you are making to the topic, go right ahead, because the floor is yours. Go
All
ahead.
right, so thank you. So,
It's a double mute. It's a double mute.
so the term I'm introducing is meritorious manumission. Meritorious manumission. This is when slave. This is when slaves are freed by their owners and for being good little boys. This is what's happening on stage. These people will continually punch down on the Black Americans, even though only 17% are in poverty and 46% of Black Americans are living middle class. They will represent and they will show the underbelly of our culture to the mass and talk about people like AOC, but don't know shit about local politicians or grassroots movements. You know what I mean? They will constantly talk shit, but you will never see them in any Black liberation spaces where people are trying to do something for our ethnic group. I'll land here with this. Fuck that bitch and fuck this old ass coon ass.
And there you
Okay,
have it.
now
And no,
you're.
and there
Let
you
me
have
make
it.
a
That is, no,
reply.
let
And
me
that's
finish.
the problem with
Before
the
you make your
youngsters.
point, Judge, before you make your point, that is exactly why people like you and your retarded generation will never get shit done. You will never amount to anything because you're
Okay,
too
now look.
emotional.
Very entertaining though. The
Let me
Very.
say
stupidity
this.
the
I'm
stupidity
laughing.
is very strictly entertainment.
I'm
And,
laughing.
and then on top of that, he's a coward because then he leaves the space.
You know what makes me laugh about it? Because for more than a half century, I saw people hard at work trying to get Negroes to think like this young Negro. They do not think like men. In other words, fight fair, fight like a man. And he says, oh, he was going to get his behind whipped, so he was justified in killing somebody. Okay, that's a real punk play. Next thing, he wants to badmouth people. He has no idea what they've done. That's like I was in a thing where there was a meeting, and it was kind of funny. It was in Adam Clayton Powell's old church, Ebenezer Baptist in Harlem. And there was a gentleman in there that has been officially credited with killing at least 37 human beings in an approved fashion. And some folk thought they were thugs and talking about making bones, and they were trying to talk against this 89-year-old man who was that age at the time, still in good fitness, impeccably dressed with a good sense of humor. And they were trying to talk about he wasn't manly because he wouldn't stand up for anything, and they didn't realize he had killed 37 people. And I was looking at that and saying, there's another one over there that's killed 14. And they were talking smack that they had no concept was smack because they didn't know the reality. See, some of these old guys that'll smile in your face and act genteel towards you really walked the walk, talked the talk, did the deeds, and suffered so you could get to the point where you could be foolish if you wanted to. See, when you read about the history books, some of the people that you might want to ridicule were actually there doing it. You just don't know about it.
Let
So
me
I
say this,
find
Judge.
it
If
interesting.
I want, let me just say this. I would say this about your generation, right? You, if that would be a criticism to where y'all took a lot of blunts and went through a lot, so that like people like ODB can act like a fucking fool. And it kind of did, so everything that your generation, your father's generation did, so that we could have, I would say Gen X and younger can have a lot of privilege and and luxury and be pampered poodles to a certain degree, without any real responsibility. And the younger generation, they're too emotional, they're not intelligent enough because they refuse to read because of social media. And they just don't understand. It's just all about, I'm a victim, you have to take what I say into consideration. It's about my feelings. So I think that your generation made it easier for the younger generations to act a fool.
Well, let me add one little thing. The baby boomers started in 1946. In 1966, when all of this started, the oldest of us was just 20 years old. So there was another generation in their early 20s, early 30s that was really doing it. And we get credited for stuff that we just went along with or backed up. But now, in the mid 1960s, when the oldest of us, very oldest of us, turned 20, one of the main movements through the entire country was men need to learn to be emotional, to let their feelings control themselves, to cry, to emote, to shout, to let it all hang out. Some of us were saying that was going to be a disaster. And the people that were talking that were the little flower children, the hippies, who were going around, oh, it's all about love, man. Like make love, not war. And we said that was bad. But we watched people like the young man, the young person that just got through advocating for emasculinity, be twisted to sound like he does. And it's amazing to me that we saw humanity in the United States degenerate from manly and womanly, strong people, black, white, brown, red, yellow. Yeah, we were at each other's throats. There were advantages and disadvantages. Into this morass of little cowardly punks who think they are owed everything and their mommies are not going to let them grow up, so they have to protect them from all evil and all adversity. Oh my goodness, that's nauseating. And then to think that you are about something and to spout slogans that you don't even get. That is amazing to me.
Well,
And
you
then
did
when
It's
they
ask.
America.
do something, they do it in terms of what they've been programmed to do by their worst enemies who don't want them to be men and women. They want them to
Democrats.
rainbow out. They want them to put on sports bras and panties with penises and hang out in the girls' bathrooms and go, instead of fighting and contending against real men and punching it out toe to toe, they want them to stab somebody in the chest because they were emotional and go play against the girls when they still have penises instead of playing against the boys. It's sickening.
So Roderick is next as speaker. Where we have
Now,
Roderick.
man the hell up,
Oh,
boys, and be men.
yeah. Roderick Global, Big Daddy Robert.
Judge, these are the useful idiots. We're
Thank you.
surrounded by them. Yep.
Are you leaving me out?
No, but I'm trying to get to people who haven't. Actually, you could go after Global Network. So it's Roderick Global Network. I'll swing back to you, then Big Daddy and Robert, and then we'll start winding it down. Oh, I see somebody else coming up. Go ahead, Roderick. Did he
It's
leave?
showing he dropped. It's
Oh,
showing he's dropped now.
okay. So Global Network. Is he still up?
I
No.
don't see him.
Okay, Big Daddy. Is Big Daddy here? Yes.
You
Big
sent me
Daddy's
back to
here.
Global
Oh, I'm
I'm
Network.
sorry.
good.
Go
I'm
ahead,
good.
Judge Sarah. One second.
And I just want to go. Okay, so
Judge
let me. I
Sarah.
want to go, and okay, I want to say this. Okay, and I want you guys to listen. Some people have left. Um, and I want to talk about what we said about Carmelo Anthony, and I want to begin again with saying, because some of you guys are probably too young to know or didn't watch. I think you could still find Judge Joe Brown on one of the networks like Tubi or something. And I say this ad nauseum because he was really crucial in defining what I saw what a man is. What really caught me first was how eloquently he speaks. Okay, he spoke very eloquently. He would chastise the men respectfully but eloquently. I lived in New York City. Now I'm in LA. Now I know what it is to be a black male in California. I understand his perception or his perspective. And Judge O'Brien, I want to tell you that I got kicked out of a room for supporting you about what your position about Carmelo Anthony. And what I want to say to the room is Judge Joe Brown is a black man. He's a black man, has done great things for black people. And one of the things that is very, he and I don't get along, but I'm gonna respect him, okay? Because I recognize who he is, a role model, and how hard he worked for black people. He's tired now. How just the second and third kid just get away with stuff because parents become tired. They say, I don't want to do this no more. He has had enough. Okay. And so let me give you the perspective about Carmelo Anthony. For him, as a black man, we are they are perceived to be animalistic, aggressive, and angry. And him being a black man, seeing this young black boy pull a knife and stab this and kill a young man instead of running away or fighting whatever, it played to the narrative that black men are animalistic and aggressive. And I can't judge him because he is a black man in this country. And that is how he's perceived. So his perspective, because he's not a judge anymore, okay, is being a black man. And if you're a black man, you may understand that. Then I come in the room and it's hard for me. I don't want to curse. I don't want to be emotional, but I am because I'm a female and I have a uterus. To hear how men speak in this room, it's embarrassing that they're victims. And this is why Judge Joe Brown behaves and acts the way he does, because you are a projection of him, of us. When they see he and me, they see you. When a man is in here talking about put a man before a baby, and I ain't trying to be disrespectful. Judge Joe Brown, I live in the suburbs. I live in Hacienda Heights. I ain't never been in the hood, but the black men in California are BITCHs. For real. And I'm not trying to be
Well, we're not
disrespectful.
going to
And
talk about another person.
I'm being honest,
It,
sir.
well,
I'm
first of all,
talking.
I'm not a sir, but number two, Wilson is not here to rebuttal, and then so we're not going to talk about someone who's not up here. I'm just not going to do that. Like,
Fair enough.
don't call
Fair enough.
somebody a name if you disagree with. Don't do that. Just say you disagree with what he was saying, but don't disrespect him because he has not
No, you're right.
disrespected
I
you.
shouldn't even have brought him up. I was hoping he was still here. And you know what? I appreciate you keeping me on task respectfully, Dana. And what you're hearing is my frustration, my anger.
Well, Judge, I
You know,
appreciate that.
you don't, because you don't know how you shaped me.
I
I was
appreciate
probably
that.
like
But let
10
me
or
make
12,
add
and I
let
hear
me
you
add
talk.
one
You would
clarification.
chastise these
Let
men,
me add one
and you would be
clarification.
respectful.
I'm not
You would be respectful.
I'm
You
not
would ask them about what they doing. Do they have a job? Why they not paying for something? And
let me just
unfortunately, Judge Joe Brown, these women ain't never had no men, so they don't know what a man is.
okay,
And I ain't trying to be
All
hold
right,
funny.
your
so
point
mute
just
up
one
because I
second. Hold
need
your
the judge
point a
to speak and
second.
I have to go to
I don't get
Roderick.
to.
Can you
Why
hold your
never?
point a second? I want you to reply to this because I think you're going in the right direction. I'm not upset that they're showing that black men are supposed to be violent and aggressive. My upset with what this kid did that got himself indictment was it was cowardly if he did what they claim. That was just a coward's act. It was a punk play. It wasn't violent. That's what my
Judge Joe
problem
Brown,
is.
they let a white woman go for murdering her
I
boyfriend because she was high.
that may be the
Come
case.
on, Judge Joe
That
Brown. I
may
love
be
you,
the
but
case. That may be the
I'm
case.
gonna
I
stand up for
don't
my
care
people.
who does it. And it's you said the magic
I'm
word.
talking about the
You
law.
said woman.
Let's talk about the law.
I'm not talking about the law. I'm talking about manhood, which is separate and apart. It may be within the law, but there are things that men don't do because those actions are cowardly, even if they're permitted by law. And
Well,
that
we
is
have
the
to examine the
problem.
facts, sir.
We have
We
had
have to examine the facts.
emasculated males who
Hmm.
now are put up as men, and their cowardly acts are rampant and obvious. When I grew up
And
in
you're speaking
South
from
Central
No,
emotion,
Los
Judge
sir.
Sarah,
Angeles,
please mute up because I have to get to another speaker. Let the judge
okay,
speak and
But I
then we're
want
going
to
to.
finish.
okay,
I want to
No,
be finished.
I'm
that's it.
about
That's it.
finished, and then you guys can battle
No,
it
then
out.
I'm
But
going
here's
to
the point.
Roderick because he's been waiting.
Okay, well, I'll go to Roderick, but I'm about to finish. When I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, the most dangerous person out there who would kill somebody for no reason, no rhyme, was the scaredest, most cowardly person on the scene. That's who would pull the knife. That's who would pull out the gun and shoot or kill or stab somebody because he was the biggest coward.
All
Now,
right.
that's what I'm looking at.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
can I please have less than a
No.
minute?
All right. I'm going to go to Roderick. He already dropped. So it's Big Daddy. It's not even Big Daddy. He's not even here. Robert, then Miss Bruna,
They're
then
dropping
Riddle.
like flies over here.
So it's Robert, Miss Bruna, and then Riddle, and oh, Kevin. Then
Kevin's
I'm gonna
here.
swing
Yeah.
back to Kevin because I think he did speak, right?
No, I don't think we
No,
didn't hear
Kevin
from
did
Kevin yet.
speak.
I don't
No,
think.
no, no, he did speak. It was just
Uh,
brief. So I'll swing back to Kevin.
Why you won't let me respond to Judge Joe
No,
Brown? You
because
always
you
treat me this
talk
way.
too fucking much. I let you speak again, and you know what I'm saying. You spoke in length, and then the judge spoke, and you keep interrupting. That's what's going to delay it. I have to get to the other speakers. I'm not trying to be up here really past midnight, so just stop. Robert, you have the floor.
No, you always treat me this
I
way, but
know.
I'm
So do
used
you
to
want
it.
me to drop you to
I'm
listener
accustomed
since
to
I
it.
always
That's like
treat you this
they
way?
always come for this.
What
The
why is
fans,
it that you just can't be quiet? Peter, please drop her to listener because I'm not doing a back and forth. Go ahead,
yeah, the
Robert.
fangs always come out.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Mr.
Robert.
Robert, I believe, has the floor.
God bless you, Judge Joe Brown.
I think Mr.
You,
Hartsfield, you have the floor, sir.
I said, God bless you, Judge Joe Brown.
Thank you, sir.
I'm from Arkansas, 57 years old. Back in my day and time, I had one boy, I was kindergarten, I was a runt back then in high school, and he would squirt water through his mouth at me. He was taller than I was, and I jumped up on him and I started hitting him with my fist. And on the school bus, I had a guy that was taller than I was, and he tried to make me get out of the certain seat on the bus. I jumped up and hit him with my fist. That's the way I
Go
grew
ahead.
up,
I
just
get
like
you.
you.
I get you.
Huh?
I get you.
Yeah, that's the way a man's supposed to fight. That's I love. Loved watching you on TV and everything.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, was that it?
Yeah, because he ain't talking about shit.
Oh, come on now. He's giving you an expression of growing up, and he's telling you how he stood up to bullying, where he said, "You may be bigger than me, but hey, you're going to have to deal with me." That's the man thing. That's important.
Yeah.
That's humanity.
What is this with the damn disrespect? Like, I'm asked. Is Robert has the floor? Are you done, Robert?
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate it. Okay, Riddle. I see Roderick. You came back up. Riddle. Actually, hold on, Riddle. Let's go to Roderick because you were up here for a minute, then you went down. Go ahead, Roderick. Can you hear us, Roderick?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was trying to take out a speaker and put it on listener, but I'm
Okay.
I'm just laughing at y'all. But thank you though, Dan.
The what? I'm sorry. What you say? You want to go back down to listener?
Yeah, I was trying to go back down to listen.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Okay.
drop you down.
So good. Yeah. Go ahead, Riddle.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you, sister. I
Oh,
just
I'm
want
sorry.
to say,
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
uh,
Miss Bruno was ahead of you.
go ahead,
I
bro.
yeah. So go ahead, Miss Bruna, then Riddle. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hello everybody. Hello Miss Dana, and thank you for letting me talk in your space again. And I feel like I've not spoken to you in a long time. I hope you've been doing well, ma'am. And um, are you able to hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, we
speak
can
up
hear
just
you.
a little bit. Yes, a little bit more, but we can hear you.
Okay, okay. But I was just basically saying hello to you, Miss Dana, and thank you for letting me speak in your space again. And I feel like I've just not spoken to you in a long time. And I just want to ask a question. Something just caught my attention from Mr. Judge Joe Brown, what he said about thingy, what you call it, transgender people and stuff like that. So, like for example, me, for example, I had surgery like a few years ago. So technically, even though I know respectfully, I'll never be like a female, assigned female at birth. So would you think someone like me, let's just say, who had surgery years ago, who's on estrogen for many years and stuff like that, would you think I should compete with men? I just want to make sure, just so I understand that. And yeah, that's all, really.
So, what was you had a question from? What was the question?
Should she have to compete, or should she have to compete with men, even though she's had the surgery and she's been on estrogen for a while now? So she's basically saying that she is almost like a female in strength because of these hormones she's been taking and her gender reassignment surgery. Is that correct, Miss Bruna?
Basically, would you, yes, that's what I was basically saying. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's it.
So that
Judge,
that's a question for you, Judge.
Oh, well, everybody's part of the society. It's an American thing. You have a right to do what you do within the law, and it is part of the overall burden, part of the overall source of resources that
No,
everybody.
she said, can she compete? Should she still
I,
compete in men's sports, being that
I,
she
I
has
get
a
I get that.
okay.
It's something the person chose to do with themselves, and now that they've done it, there's no reversing it. So it's part of the big picture. That's what I was saying. All right.
Okay. So
I'm being
did he answer your question, Miss Bruna?
No, not really, because it was just a question like yes, like basically like yes or no. Like, so do you think I should compete with men? Let's just say, would you think like just
well. Do you that if you live in America, it's your option. What do you think?
but I thought you said that wait, I'm so confused. I thought maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you said something about trans women should compete with men or something.
No, I didn't say they should compete with men.
Oh,
That's not what I said. What I said was something else when there is ideation that that is an ideal that we should be seeking. That's not good. In the United States, you have a right to think whatever you want to think, and you have a right to pose your position to the public and see if it prevails. Now, that's all I'm saying. Your thoughts are your thoughts. That's what you're entitled to by living here in this country.
Okay.
Now, whether or not I'd adopt it,
Dana, I got the
that's a
perfect
different
solution
issue.
for trans athletes. Why don't they start their own league? And all of this will be solved.
Yeah, I would say if you're born a man, you shouldn't be competing with women in women's sports. That's what I would say.
And vice versa. They need to just start their own league. And this would it's just an attack on heterosexualism. Because, start your own league and then none of this will be valid. It won't even be a question. Start your own league.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's your turn, Riddle.
All right. I just wanted to say that I think it's a shame. I heard the drunk ass Judge Sarah up here. She was so disrespectful towards black men. But we, black
Well,
men,
I wait. Hold on for a second, Riddle, because I did tell her don't disrespect someone who's not here. So please, she's not here no longer. Don't
she
disrespect
probably
her.
listening to
And
she probably
anonymous. Yeah, we got like 50
anonymous.
people in anonymous.
Yeah. So, but I think she's like a functional alcoholic. She need to lay off the
Well, that's all
Bernadette.
alleged. No, we're not going to call anybody alcoholic or saying that they are something. No, no,
I can
no.
smell it. Start talking no Dana. I can smell it through my phone though.
Okay, that's fine, but she's not up here. But go
All
ahead.
right, all right. But I wanted to say, that was just cowardly what she did. And people just always take time. That kid who got into that fight and stabbed that other kid in the chest. Keyword kid. Those are boys. And people take that as an opportunity to throw shots at black men. Black men get up and go to work every day. They pay for their bills. They take care of black women. They take care of black children every day. Black men are just fine. We are the moral authority on planet Earth, especially black American men. So, um, just people taking time and using this as a scapegoat to start taking shots at black men. This was a kid that got to a fight. Kids make mistakes. I know a boy that when I went to high school, he robbed a bank. He was number 17 years old. He probably still in jail now. He made a mistake. I don't think he would have did that as a grown man,
You
but
still
as a
gotta go
kid,
to
he made a
jail.
mistake. But yeah, that's true. He was a kid though. Kids make mistakes. That don't mean you hold grown ass men to the mistakes of what a kid did. And I just think that's real cowardly that people are on here like that lady was just speaking, talking about black men in California is bitches or whatever she said. That stupid ass shit she said. She can say that over these airwaves or these phones or computers that we're talking on, but the smallest man can do whatever he wants to any woman. You know what I'm saying? So I teach my daughter different to not disrespect men, period, because men are physically stronger than you. So don't ever hit a man and don't disrespect a man. If somebody does something, a man does something to you that you don't like, you walk away from him. Don't give it your attention. But other than that, I just think it's real cowardly that people are using this opportunity to throw shots at black men based off of a mistake that this young black teen did. That's
Riddle,
all
how
I'm.
much time should Carmelo get, you think?
I'm not sure. That's up to a jury of his peers.
Well, if you let's say you're Judge Riddle, you are now tasked with. Let's say he gets convicted by the jury. You're tasked with now sentencing him. What would Judge Riddle give him in your esteemed courtroom?
Probably about 5 to 10.
Five
The
to ten.
same
Okay.
that cop, yeah, the same that cop got who was a grown woman who went up in that guy's apartment building and shot him, talking about she thought it was her own apartment building. Whatever her sentence was, that's what I think he should get.
Well, how
Even if it
about,
was
well,
first degree
honestly,
murder
Peter, you know
conviction,
what,
right?
Peter? I think Judge Riddle should give him the same sentence that Case and Allison got. Because and I, you know what, and I'm so sorry that I forgot the victim's name, but he was stabbed 5 times.
I think it was Garcia.
Yeah, last name Garcia, but he was stabbed 5 times. So how about
How about Carmelo Anthony gets the same sentence
Well,
from
the
Judge
case isn't
Riddle?
fungible. The case wasn't fungible. There was four assailants in the bathroom at that time, as
No, it was
opposed
not.
to
No, because those
Well,
other people who those alleged other people, they didn't hold down Mr. Garcia. They did not. They
I
it
didn't
was
say they held
it
him down.
no, they did not. It was
No, I
literally
didn't say that.
oh, okay, so it was one against one, but one had a knife and stabbed him repeatedly. So how about Judge Riddle sentenced Carmelo Anthony the same way Case and Allison was sentenced?
Well, the
How
case isn't
about if we
fungible.
wait
The
until
facts are
he
not the
gets?
same.
Well,
How
we don't
about
know
you
the
Or
wait?
better
facts.
yet, or better
How
yet,
about
Peter,
Kyrie,
Peter,
everybody
how
hold
wait
on.
and
Oh, hold
see
on
if
for a
he
second,
gets
Judge. Let me just say
convicted?
this because Peter, we are all speaking hypothetical here because we don't know the facts, but you still ask Judge Riddle if what would he sentence without knowing the facts. So
We
please
know the
don't
police report.
stop moving that goalpost. Stop
No, we
moving
know
the
the police
goalpost.
report.
Stop acting like the Cowboys. Stop moving the
No,
goalpost and
we know
stick
the
to
police
what
report, though.
no. Stick to all of our assumptions because we're all assuming. So Judge Riddle should sentence Carmelo the same as Kaysen because we don't know all the facts just by us having this conversation. Why not? That's what I'm
So if
saying.
they
and I only
if we
say, and
don't know all
Dana,
the facts, how could you
Dana,
sentence
let
him
me
the
make
same
this
way?
clear. I
Doesn't
only
even make
said five
sense.
to ten if
Because
he's
it's
found
because his
guilty.
is worse.
But
Well,
if not,
how
I
about if we
wouldn't give him
see if
no
he's
time.
found
Shit, let
guilty
him go.
first? How about
Yeah,
if we see
if
what
he gets
happens in
found
the
guilty.
Bro, he's in
prosecution?
Texas. He's gonna be found guilty.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
he's
5 to 10
innocent
then.
until he's
5 to 10.
proven guilty. Let's see what a jury does or whether he cops out. And that will then morph into either a plea bargain, if such is in place, or it will morph into what the state sentencing guidelines dictate. So that's how it works.
All right. So Riddle, are you done? Because I need to go to KD.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and the judge just emphasized on it, hypothetically speaking, if he is found guilty, I could say like 5 to 10, something like that. But I would no way in any shape or form think about giving that kid life, just because I don't believe in giving younger people super long sentence unless they did something weird like a school shooting or some type of bombing where you just killed malice out of the innocent people, multiple innocent people. But far as an isolated incident where you were in a fight and somebody got stabbed, you know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate, but I wouldn't give him no super long time like that. Just enough to probably
May
get
I
him
add
out.
a brief perspective to this? There was a guy that I played football with in high school, and he lied about his age, and he up for the nom, and he wasn't but 17 when it happened, and he got his arm blown off just below, left arm blown off just below his left shoulder. I know another guy who was 18 years, 3 months old, and he lost both legs above the knees because he made a mistake. I know 10, 15 people didn't even come back in part because they died over there in the Nam. And they weren't 19 years old when they died. And they made minor mistakes. So sometimes there are some very harsh consequences for small mistakes, and sometimes those consequences result in loss of life. I represented what was one time the youngest person in the world on death row. He was convicted for killing 3 people when he was 13 years old, and I got a unanimous acquittal before the Arkansas Supreme Court after getting a stay of execution 23 minutes before he was to be executed when he was 15 years, 2 weeks old. So I've been there, seen that, done that, and run the whole gamut as to what happens when you have homicides, death, youth, and other things involved. Now, life is harsh.
You tell that to Cal Rittenhouse.
No, I'm
Daniel
not
Penn.
talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm talking about the name. The guy's name, kid's name was Ronald Ward. He was in Arkansas 40 some years ago.
Okay. All right. So I want to go to KD, then Macau and Global, and then I'll swing back to Kevin, and then we'll close out.
Hello, Dana. Hello,
Hello.
Judge.
Hey,
Hello,
sir.
Peter.
How's it going?
Good, good evening.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting conversation, I must say. I want to make a comment on this incident that happened in Texas, and I'm originally from Texas. So the way they do justice in Texas is quite different than they do in any other part of the country. But I just want to dig a little bit deeper as to why did this incident happen? Because it didn't have to happen this way. At this point, I haven't seen in my lifetime, and I'm a 70s baby, the racial tension that we have in this country. And for the young man to brandish a knife at a track meet, that raises questions for me. I'm a reasonable man, and I look at things and I try to just cognitively and what's the word? Critically look at the situation for what it is and not have any type of bias. I don't care if he was black, blue, yellow, green. It doesn't matter. And it's just a simple act of how it happened and what was the motivating factor. Because growing up, you had to knuckle up. And at that, I mean, once you get to the stage to where someone's bringing weapons, okay, then it's not fair. And but I believe that a lot of racial tension was part of the litigating factor. And for some, I mean, for some reason, I don't understand the where it's like we going back 50 years. I mean, it's to me with so much that's going on in the world today, and to be blessed in a country to where you could be anything and become anything, no matter what background you have. I understand, just life is life, and you're going to deal with some setbacks and some pitfalls. I have came to that realization. It took me almost 30 years of my life to realize that because I've gotten robbed, I've gotten attacked, I've gotten jumped on, and they were the same color as me. And it's just like, okay, let's stop using race and the color of our skin as a rallying cry. Because oftentimes when you need someone to help you, you wouldn't care what color they are. If you need an operation or if you need some form of type of help, I wouldn't care. But I just think that it was just an unfortunate situation. And the young man should have never had a knife at an event or any type of weapon, because if he felt like his life was going to be threatened at that point, he should have never even participated. And that's just my opinion in that matter.
Do you think Cal Rittenhouse's decision was fair?
Yes, it was. Because
You
just like it's been said, when you've got a riot going on, all bets are off. It's a presumption going on that if somebody is committing an assault, they intend to take your life. So you don't have to go through all of the process of whether you have a legitimate fear. There was public
They didn't
disorder. There
tailor the
was a
law for him.
riot.
Judge, you don't think they tailored the law throwing out that
No, it
manifesto
was
and throwing out those
absolute. The
things
law. The
saying
law.
that he wanted to kill somebody
What
and he
happened with
was looking at.
Rittenhouse is long written law. I mean, that goes back anciently.
So him taking that pistol across state lines, is that was
That
cool?
has nothing to do with whether or not he had a right to use it. See, that's the whole thing. You may not have the right to use the weapon. I mean, you may not have the
But
right
why
to
didn't those
possess
charges
it,
get brought up
but
on him
that
then?
does not take away your right to use it. There are
See,
different
when it come to
aspects of the
white
law.
people, they just throw it. When it come to us, we
So,
deal with
No,
Judge,
it
is
don't
there a
have
consequences.
anything to
two-tier
do with
justice
black
When
system?
it
folk
come to
or
them,
white
it
folk.
just
If he'd
just
been
throw it
black
out.
or
Just
white, the result would have been
Hey,
the
brother,
same.
you had your turn.
See, black
I
or
thought you
white, the
was
result would
done.
have been the same. But what gets me is this: look, this boy that got
I wasn't
indicted,
cutting you off.
he was, at least the allegations are, he was captain of the football team, which means he started. which means whatever his position was on the football team, defense or offense, there were 11 other guys on the other side who cumulatively were multiple times 192, 196 pounds. If there is a football play going on and scrimmage has started, you're going to get hit. You have to block. You get blocked. You get tackled. Or you have to tackle. So it's violence going on. You have a helmet. You're legitimately worried about concussions. You've got shoulder pads, chest pads, thigh pads, hip pads, knee pads, all sorts of things because it's violent. So when you tell me that somebody is facing two people, let's say he's a running back and whatever he weighed as team captain is what he weighed. So he's looking at two defensive tackles who are going to weigh more than 196 pounds apiece that he's going to have to deal with if he's the quarterback, or he's going to have to run through if he's a running back, or he's going to have to block if he's going to block somebody. So every play, he's got to face these guys who are going to do violence. So I don't buy this thing about he's scared of the violence. I'm wondering, why does he have the knife, and why does he punk out and stab one of them in the chest? Because there's likely to be some fisticuffs. Like somebody just said, growing up, you got to knuckle up. Though I guess they forgot that, though they might want to watch Back to the Future to check it out with McFly. That's
Hey,
reality
hey,
being
Judge.
human made.
Hey, Judge. I got a quick question. So, if a man, if somebody's fighting,
Wait, hold on for a
because I've
second.
seen,
Hold on.
I
Wait,
live
wait,
in
wait, wait,
Texas.
wait. Global. Hold on, because I have to go to Mikkel. Then it's you. So go ahead, Mikkel. Well, I wait. Is Katie? Are you done? Are
No,
you
I got
done?
kicked out of the.
No. I mean,
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse should
no,
have
I
knuckled
wanted to
up.
talk about the FU to Israel and Iran as well. I mean, but I mean, it seems like the
I get
conversation
you.
just
Well, go
kind
That's
of got
ahead.
stuck
important.
No,
on
go
this.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think in that situation, with Trump being the type of personality that he has, it's like, look, we already have talked about this. We talked about this behind closed doors. You already know what it is. Why are y'all playing games? Stop doing this. I mean, because at the end of the day, he already made it known. And I felt like once they started moving people out of certain areas, that something was going on. And the way people leak stuff, and people can't hold their mouth for nothing, that they kept it secret, and they had to be deceptive in it. But at the end of the day, these people have already said death to America. And they already have got people over here. And it's just like a moment. It's just like we living in a movie right now. It's like what we done went back to Idiocracy, the movie, 2006, to where we don't understand common sense. When someone threatens you and say that they're going to do something, you might want to try to listen to them. And so I think I think he done the world a good service. Bomb that ish to kingdom come and bomb them back to the 6th, 7th century because that's how they live. People don't have no rights over there. They don't.
Yeah, but
And
KD, you don't think this is all theater, right? Like you just said, right?
no, no,
No.
no,
Okay.
no, no, no. I mean, honestly, part of politics and politicking is the theater. It's the show. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm from Texas, and I'm ashamed that Jasmine Crockett is like, but I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. But for her, for people like that, it just makes, you know, people that's for the right and people that's for common sense feel a whole lot better because it's like if that's what you're depending on, you're in trouble. That's bad
Yeah.
business.
I
I mean,
mean,
this to me the way I look at it is strategic. It's strategic in nature, and you know that these people have been enriching uranium to where it's like, okay, then we could hit anybody. We could hit New Jersey. We could hit New York. We could hit the East Coast. We could destabilize their power grid. We could do all sorts of things, create chaos. It's like one thing the world is watching with the United States, they see this mass confusion over here. And now is the best time. But the only problem is they got somebody in there that got a spine and gonna say what he gonna do, he gonna do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, he could tone it down a little bit, But at the end of the day, it's like the man standing up for what he says, and I trust that.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you.
okay.
See, technically, we have some interesting things going on here. We have the MOP, MOP, Massive Ordnance Penetrator. The thing weighs 28,000 pounds, 14 tons. There's only so far down deep in the earth, close to 100 meters, that it can penetrate, they think. But what was going on is the Iranians were racing to dig down deeper, so there would have been a point very shortly where the bomb would not have been able to penetrate far enough down to do any damage. So that was an imperative. They put together a great logistic planning, intelligence, and
Hmm.
organizational show where they struck from middle Montana all the way 36 hours there and back to where they hit into near Tehran and two other locations. They also struck from the middle Pacific where some Virginia class attack submarines launched some cruise missiles. That was one hell of a display of arrangement, management, and logistics. It scared the hell out of other people, and it also tested our system, and it gave us a chance to see that it worked. Now,
Hmm.
previous to this, we had 19 B-2 bombers left. They cost about $1.75 billion an airplane. Now, they are about 35 years old, and we are building some B-21s that are coming online to replace them. So now we can afford to risk them. They put them in play, and everybody is kind of back like, okay, nobody else has this delivery system in the whole world. What is it we are running into when we say we are going to defy you? And here is the big picture. Nukes are dangerous because even if you set off a few big ones now, you can radiate a good percentage of the world and contaminate a whole lot. And the problem is this: Israel can keep winning and Islam can keep losing, and that won't alter anything. But if Islam wins one time, Israel has indicated some interesting things. There was a fortress known as Masada. About 1800 years ago, the Romans had to reduce that fortress, and every Jewish person in that fortress died or committed suicide. And Netanyahu has said, as far as he's concerned, that's what Israel's going to do if it loses. We can't afford them to be nuking anything, even if they're an ally. So somebody's got to say, okay, time out. We just have to settle this down. This is enough foolishness. We're going to cut you off. We're over there, by the way, going to flatten you because we didn't give you permission. Don't like it? What are you going to do about it?
Right.
Now, that's the way it is. And what they did is they pulled off what they call in international law, in military science, a preemptive strike. In other words, your intelligence analysis and such like indicate that your enemy is going to do this, and to prevent them from doing something that will have irredeemable consequences, you cut them off before they can. That's how militaries work. That's how warfare works. It is an act of war, but it does not require a declaration of war. In the entire history of the United States of America, we've only declared war 5 times in 236 years. But in spite of that, we've had the Nam, we've had the Middle East twice, we've had Korea, we've had all sorts of interventions, we've had the war on the frontier, we've had a lot of things that went on where people got shot up and everything else, bombs got dropped, and a lot of people died, and there was no declared war. There are acts of war, but declaration of a state of war is something different. That's totally reserved for Congress. But in terms of conducting warfare, under Article 2, that's up to the president as commander in chief. And by the way, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution renders a perpetual animosity in war against piracy. Article 1, Section 8 says the United States government, through its naval forces, is to confront, eliminate, and eradicate and suppress piracy wherever found in the world. And under various treaties, Article 6 of the Constitution that have been ratified and become part of the supreme law of the land, what you were dealing with were acts of piracy. So that means that the president, the commander in chief, had a duty to carry out Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. No need to declare war. So these ignoramuses that talk about their knowing constitutional law are flying in the face of 236 years of American legal precedents. So that won't even wash.
Judge, let me ask you a quick question. Why did they take out constitutional what is it? It was a curriculum in elementary throughout school. And I just don't understand why they removed that from the curriculum, from people understanding the Constitution, how it works, and what it works for.
I learned what I just told you in the 5th grade. I agree with you. There is a good reason why they took it out, and I don't approve of it. They were trying to emasculate the country, and they wanted everybody to be emotional rather than understanding the rules of the road and what it took to operate in this society that we live in, and what your responsibilities were, expectations could be, etc., etc. So they took these things out of the curriculum, and they wanted you to focus rather on emotionalism, feelings, beliefs, rather than on practicality, reasonable, logical, rational, analytical, detached and objective considerations. That's what they were trying to do. And I was a
Hmm.
school teacher in Los Angeles 55 years ago, almost 55 years ago. And I know what I was looking at. Ran a playground out there, too. Trinity Avenue Elementary School, along with Dr. Cliff Stewart and Dr. Ron Chappelle. So we did stuff, and we saw what happened, and we watched this stuff deteriorate where they got away from hardcore education that actually prepared children for the world, and they gave them Disneyland. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are, your dreams come true. That's not how the world works, but that's how
Right.
they've tried to turn us. And
Yeah,
I
it sounds like a
resent that.
sadistic plan that they had created, and it has got everything in this country just, pardon my language, ass
Yeah,
backwards.
men, war is the
Huh?
man thing. Men need to learn to be emotional, to cry, to shout, to let it all hang out instead of being so uptight and under self control. Man, it's all about love, man. Love power will conquer everything, man. It's like, give me a break.
Um. Okay. So, Mikhail, is he still up here?
Thank you,
No.
Judge. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
he
Thank
dropped
you,
down a
Thank
Dana.
you,
listener.
sir.
You're welcome. Okay, so Mikhail, he dropped down a listener. Global,
Yeah, thanks,
global,
Dana.
Robert.
Yeah,
And then I'm gonna swing
I'm
to
sorry.
Kevin, and then we'll close out. So, go ahead, global.
Thanks, Dana, Peter, and Judge. I watch y'all all the time on YouTube, so it's a pleasure to. I actually follow you, Dana, on YouTube. So,
Thank you.
but I want to say, you too, Judge. No problem. But Judge, I had a question on that. The last three speakers were from Texas, including myself, and this is a stand your ground state, right? Just like Florida. So, what is the difference? And I'm asking you because, of course, you was a former judge, and you have this knowledge, and you privy to this knowledge, and I don't have. So, as far as in Florida, the George Zimmerman case, when the kid Trayvon was walking, and George Zimmerman engaged him. The kid wasn't even bothering Zimmerman. He engaged him and caused this, altercation. Then he uh, shot the young man. He killed the young man after the altercation, happened. I'm trying to see how does that differ from what happened, and without knowing all the facts with the Carmelo Anthony, because I don't know all the facts. I haven't seen
Let me
the
see.
police report. But what's and you can chime
Okay,
in too, Peter.
here's
Just you can educate me on
here's the
this.
thing. It's called escalation of force, reasonable response. And one of the problems with what happened with George Zimmerman and that case is the dead guy's lawyer did not understand that his client
who had the right to stand his ground. So you have the really weird situation of a lawyer representing the family of the deceased arguing that the law that his client, dead client, was relying upon to not turn around and run was wrong. So it was screwed up. That person, by the way, is pushed as an expert in civil rights now, and everybody turns to him, but he did not understand the law at the time. You had Anderson Cooper, who was trying to set up a thing, and Trayvon's mother, I know her. I interviewed her 3 times. She asked me what was going on, and here's what she said. Why did Anderson Cooper ask me to keep this about Trayvon secret? I thought it was something bad. You know what it was? Trayvon, guess what? Wanted to be a police detective like his father and grandfather were. That was his career ambition. So Anderson Cooper of CNN wanted that quiet because it disturbed his narrative of hoodie wearing possible hood rat threatening a community of law abiding people. Somebody who was Cubano, an OG for Cuban gangs, allegedly, who happened to have a Jewish gang because his grandfather knocked up his grandmama illegitimately in Havana, Cuba, allegedly. And that would destroy the narrative. So that's what we had. So we had a mess down there. And we had a situation, since this is right outside of Miami, where there are problems there, where first generational descendant OGs from Cuba have a bad problem with making their bones by doing in young black kids and vice versa. And it is a mess in Miami. And that was the atmosphere. And you had a political situation where the DA down there had a huge, huge constituency that was much like Zimmerman. And he was answerable to them if he wanted to keep his nice, plush, well paying job with good retirement and pension benefits. So, yeah, in a jury panel that was commensurate with a lot of people there being from the same background as George Zimmerman.
All right. Anything else global? Because I need to go to Robert and
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to add. I'm a step down. The guy earlier who was ODB from Houston. I'm from Houston, and I just wanted to apologize. That's not how we rock. We do have conservatives here in Houston, so I have a son that's in that generation. So everybody, some of us do have emotional intelligence. So I just want to say that. So keep doing your job, Dana, Judge, and Brother Peter, and I'll be following you guys.
thank
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 you,
you,
y'all.
sir.
Global.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you listening to us on YouTube as well. All right, Robert, not Robert H, but Robert J. Robert, you're next, and then Kevin and Robert H. I'll give y'all quick. You could say what you got to say for a second time, real quick, because then we got to close out. So go ahead, Robert J.
Uh, my question for the judge, it's kind of a question, but first, I'm kind of a little confused about what's going on over there in Iran and Israel because on one hand, you have Judge Napolitano and Colonel Douglas McGregor saying that the information that they received, the bombing in Iran of the nuclear facilities, the facility was already evacuated and the bombs weren't that effective. And Russia just signed an agreement with them to continue building nuclear facilities. And Netanyahu just came out and said that they're going to bomb Iran again if they start it up. And I was also, I remember General Wesley Clark who was a supreme leader of NATO. He had said that he had seen a memo that where it was talking about the United States going to war in 7 countries in 5 years. So, and Netanyahu's been saying that Iran's going to be building a bomb. They've been saying that for about since 1995. So, how much of this really was just about Israel's hegemony in the region, just them trying to maintain that?
One thing I think needs to be done for everybody's favor is the United States, Russia, and China
France, England need to articulate why Israel is important to their particular positions. What is it that's there? I would suggest that it's probably got to do with control of the area and its oil richness, which resulted in Jimmy Carter negotiating with Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat to get that treaty between Israel and Egypt so they became allies and they could function effectively as a foil for the United States in that area. There is a massive amount of fuel and energy that is concerned with that area. Right now, if you paid attention to the footnotes about the Strait of Hormuz and the fact that the Chinese had these multi 200,000, 300,000 ton oil tankers turned around because navigation got hacked, the Chinese are trying to work to get a real live pipeline put in from China into the Middle East to get that oil so they won't need the tankers. So I imagine those negotiations are going on behind the scenes. So there's a lot going on over there, including things that happen by proxy. Remember, we import 99 plus percent of domestically consumed oil, and most of it comes from OPEC. The biggest oil producing country in OPEC is not Saudi Arabia. It is Nigeria, which shortly will become the fourth largest country in the world. So there are some dynamic shifts that are going on over there because Nigeria is a big part of OPEC, though we never think about it. Now, that being the case, what is it about acquiring energy upon which the rest of the world turns? We have a vested interest in getting the energy, anywhere from you going out to put fuel in your Camaro or your Charger or your Vet or your Volkswagen or whatever it is or your Toyota. This is expensive. Tanking up at 45, 50, 60, $80 a tank gets rough. So until we deal with something else about setting up alternative energy sources, which we are not investing in because we have allowed a scam to develop over the last 75 years, which is we got rid of tariffs. We did a whole bunch of other stuff so we could set Asia back up, Europe back up as a market for the huge manufacturing capacity of the United States. But what we did not deal with is controlling the American entrepreneur who wanted to move the manufacturing process from the United States, where Americans were hired, to overseas, where the people were hired more cheaply, where the profit margins are greater, and then come back and sell the stuff in the United States at greatly enhanced profits with great loss of income and opportunity to ordinary people who are suffering right now with the prison industry, which is not to control crime, but to control surplus labor that has been made obsolete because we have allowed through our laws people to profit by moving American industry, American investment dollars overseas. So somewhere along this line, we're going to have to reverse that because there's no longer a need for this gratuity, this thing that got set up with the Marshall Plan that MacArthur set up in Japan to put Japan, Asia, and Europe back on their feet, not only to become markets, but now to become primary competitors with the United States in the world marketplace. So we're losing out. We did get a result out of it. And contrary to predictions on the far left, we don't have massively increased inflation. It's far below what was predicted. We do have a situation and an agreement with China that has been acknowledged where China will put 10% tariffs on our stuff and we put 55% on their stuff to balance out the trade equation to the benefit of everybody concerned. So there are advantages on having somebody in who is a master of the so-called art of the deal versus hack politicians who have gotten filthy rich on a government salary their whole adult lives. See, there's a big difference in what happens. You can deal with, I've known presidents personally, speak with them and I run into them. Hey, what's going on? And have conversation. And there is a hell of a difference between a mediocre somebody who holds an office and a person with the charisma, the knowledge, the information, the acumen, and that punch that it took to get where he got to making himself. It's a big difference. It's like somebody can walk in a room and nobody knows who they are, but they're in charge in half hour. That's just humanity. And that's what we've lacked for a long while. So you got somebody in place and people believe in him. People say this guy will turn this emasculation process around. So we'll understand what it is to fight with honor when we fight amongst ourselves, where we punch it out behind the roadhouse or the bar or in the park or in the school playground lot. And we can move on, shake hands, and become friends for life, instead of trying to kill each other because we're too cowardly to punch it out. Like somebody said, growing up, you got to knuckle up. That's profound. That's reality.
All right, I need to quickly, Kevin Black and Robert H. I brought you up the truth, and but I'm only gonna, you're gonna have to be quick with it. But go ahead, Kevin, then Robert, then the truth, and then that's it. So nobody else, please don't request to come up.
I must say, Judge, you are very sharp for somebody your age, and you are more like sharper than like these Gen X,
Oh no, it's not supposed
Gen
to be,
Z,
bro.
whatever you call it. But my question is, Judge, you've been around for a while. Do you believe that change can we affect change more if we stop with this we crap and start focusing on ourselves as individuals? Or do we need groups? Do we need communism in order to do? Well, I don't know what they're trying to do, Judge, but do you think change can be brought upon by individuals or groups? Thank you.
Let me,
No
okay, let
comment.
me say this. Humans are social animals. Some animals are solitary. We don't work that way. We conquer everything. We did it before we invented gunpowder and stuff like that because we work together as social units. So we have to have intercourse with each other, not sexual, but just interhuman intercourse. We depend on each other in large social units. There's no way around it. So, yes, the individual is important, but there's also this altruistic thing where, above all, is the importance of the group. Humans don't live long, but humanity has been around for a long time. And that's what we have to keep in check as a reality that we deal with. You're not isolated. You have your own individual interests, but your individual interests should coincide with the bigger picture. That's why we have a concept known as hero.
Okay, Robert H. And then, oh, I don't see the truth. Okay, go ahead, Robert H.
Yeah, I heard somebody speak about Kyle Anthony. Um, I mean not Anthony, but Kyle Rittenhouse, and he tried to say that he brought the gun across state lines. No, he did not. If you would have listened to the court case, the gun was at his dad's house, where his dad and his grandma lived, and he accessed it there. Plus, he went to school there. But that's what I
Well,
wanted
that
to
seems to
tell
be the
the white.
case. That does seem to be the case. And you see, there's another concept people have forgotten. When the United States Constitution was adopted in 1789, there was no such thing as police. They hadn't been invented. That was Scotland Yard in the 1830s. So Robert Peel, Bobby Peel, came up with the police. That was his invention. So how do you think we had law enforcement? It devolved to the community. The concept of posse comitatus comes out of that. The only law enforcement official we had was the sheriff, and he could deputize individuals in the community anywhere from 15 to 60. That was known as the militia, 15 to 60, and Rittenhouse was within that 15 to 60-year-old group. He was able bodied, and under the theme of the U.S. Constitution and the common law that's been in effect for 236 years, he was expected to be part of that community that could be called upon to vest law and order. When you have a riot, when you have a public disturbance like that, public order has broken down, and public peace, dignity, and order have evaporated, and at all cost it must be restored. So when something happens like that with Rittenhouse, there is several hundred years of precedent that say what went down and what Rittenhouse did was acceptable. So people just don't know that. And as somebody just ably pointed out, we used to teach this in elementary school. We don't now because it makes for a nicer, more gentle, less masculine society to not understand that when you have these rights that we have in this country, we have commensurate obligations that are difficult, and sometimes there are hard choices and hard collateral damages that follow from these things. I passed the mic.
Okay, that's it. Peter, you want to say anything? Close us out. Closing
No,
remarks.
this was a great space. I really enjoyed it. Very entertaining. Judge, you're always a wellspring of knowledge. Appreciate you being here and really enjoy it. Get a lot out of it. And for everybody who couldn't control themselves, maybe go see a doctor and get on some medication or something, because you do have some real deep-seated issues. Other than that, yeah, I'm excited to watch closing arguments at the Diddy trial in the next couple of days, and let's see what the future holds. It's a great space.
Yep.
Last remark on my part, very
Well,
brief.
can I have my last remark
Let me
first?
be very brief. I'm going to take
No,
30
I want
seconds.
to do, and then you
Go
can
ahead.
close
Okay,
it
well,
out.
I'm not
Thank
going to be that.
you. Yes.
Go ahead.
I want to say thank you to everybody on YouTube for tuning in for the whole 4 hours and being very lively in that chat. So thank you guys on YouTube. Next time, hit that Cash App button. And everybody here on X, thank you. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, listening, even to all those who was listening anonymously, and to every speaker that came up to speak. I appreciate you guys, and I respect and appreciate everything you said. Not the disrespect, but everything that you said. So I really appreciate all the speakers coming up. And thank you, Peter. And of course, as always, thank you, Judge. Go ahead.
Well, my closing remarks would be very brief. Power to the people, and we the people can be great. Black, white, brown, red, yellow, we all came from the same place. And truth be known, if we did a DNA test on ourselves, we would find out a lot of surprising things that we did not know are in our background or in our woodpile. So most of us are more closely related than we think, and we do have some vested interest in promoting each other, tolerating each other, and understanding the differences that make each of us stronger collectively and individually. Now, that being the case, think of this as a team. You're on a team, you don't have to like everybody on your team. But when it comes time to block so your team can score the point, you block. When it comes time to tackle, you tackle. When it comes time to cooperate, you cooperate. And when you do that, you can win. Even if you don't like the guy and you consider him a real SOB you have to work with. It's about alliances, practicality. It's about logic, reason, rationality, objectivity, and being detached and objective and doing what is necessary to accomplish a necessary task and get over your emotions. Now, thank you everybody for being here. I find this enjoyable. I like a good mix